Gilgeous Alexander. Shabbat for three. Bingo!
Carter will get it for the win. Got it! He is hard to believe.
Here's Jordan.
Yes. The Magic, a 360 turn with the dribble. Magic down the middle. Gives underneath to Worthy. Slam dunk.
Third in the corner. Double fake.
What's going on, guys? Welcome to a special mid-season edition of Dime Dropper. The All-Star break just got concluded, and we are getting ready for the second half of the season. To talk about what has happened in the first half of the season, I brought, you might recognize him from a previous video about 2020, about how the year was, but now we're going to have him talk about one of his passions, one of his biggest passions, which is hoop. And this season, you know, he's not a fan of a particular team, so he's more of a general fan of the game, and he's dipped into a lot of games this season. Probably has seen more total minutes of almost every team in the league than me this season, except obviously the LA teams who I get, know inside and out. So for the LA fans watching this, I apologize. We're probably not going to spend as much time on the Lakers and the Clippers, because if you want to know about the Lakers and the Clippers, hit that subscribe button, turn the notification bell on, and follow me on social media. But Shane, we are going to get into every team. How we doing, my guy? Are we ready to talk some hoops this time?
I made it. I'm back on Dime Dropper, man. Mama, I made it. What's up, Dime? I appreciate you.
Dime. All right, my guy. So you watched. Just give us a little bit of some background, your ball history, real quick. Since I didn't really explain too much, in the last episode that I was featured on. Obviously our history is me and D went to high school together, and I played on the high school team. That's not where my hoop dream started. I've been hooping for as long as I can remember, being able to walk and crawl and eat. I all throughout middle school, high school, played basketball, and then I went on to Loyola Marymount College. I didn't eventually play there because I had some injuries, but might as well have played in all the intramural leagues, got in wherever I could, got in where I fit in. And still to this day, I still do hoop. I love watching hoop. I love being around it. Anything that's got to do with it, if I see an orange basketball in my peripheral, then anything that comes with it, I'm with it, man. I'm with it. I love the hoop. Yes, sir. So for this one, we're just going to start out with the bottom of the barrel. Looking back at my predictions for before the season, some stuff aged really well. Some stuff aged like trash. But one thing that aged well was that the Orlando Magic was going to be the worst team in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah.
So have you watched any of their games? I think the one person we should probably give a shout out to has been Franz Wagner.
Yeah.
He's really impressed.
I'm big on Franz. I'm big on Franz, man. I honestly, with all that it's worth, I don't think that they've disappointed anybody. I like what I see from them. I just don't see, obviously in the NBA, especially in today's day and age, you need a bit of star power. You need a little bit of oomph, to get you over the the pedestal. And I just don't see that with them. I love Franz. I love Cole Anthony.
He's taking a big step up this year, Cole Anthony.
Yeah, he has. I like Wendell Carter. He's been really big for them. And then Suggs, I think he's going to be a promising role player. I don't think he's going to be, he could make an all-star game once or twice, but nothing more than that. But that's just their problem right now. I just don't see any star power coming out of there. Maybe, in the future, down the line, they use some of their picks and some, their assets and are able to grab, a star player. But I just don't see anybody. Maybe Franz, I can see him being an all-star once or twice. He's a little better than his brother. But I just don't feel like they've disappointed anybody. When I watch them, I'm not like, oh my God, they're terrible.
Yeah.
They're not like they shouldn't be an NBA team type thing. But they are bottom of the barrel to say the least. And they're surprisingly worse than the Pistons. I thought the Pistons were going to take the worst for the East this year, but we'll get to that.
Jalen Suggs, he was what pick was he at against Gonzaga? 5th pick. He was a 5th pick in the draft. He has missed a lot of games this season. That's been tough for them. They're 13 and 47. So he's missed 21 games. He's averaging 12 points. It's been, he's only shooting 37%. Obviously it's been a tough year.
I honestly didn't know he was averaging 12 points because he shoots 37%. He shoots so much when I watch him play. It doesn't seem like he's putting up points.
If you want to check out the Magic, go watch my vlog. Watch my vlog when Reggie Jackson made the game winner. It's in my full on my playlist on my channel, so check that out. As you talked about the Pistons, so let's segue into the Pistons. And they are pretty bottom of the barrel as well. But Cade Cunningham, again, if you want to check out the Pistons, I got to see them day after I think it was Black Friday. That's another vlog on the channel, so go check it out. But Cade Cunningham, Jeremy Grant, this team is clearly in tank mode. They're miserable. Killian Hayes is not proven to be great.
I don't know much.
You watch Cade? Any thoughts on Cade? And then
me, he's my favorite rookie. He was always my favorite rookie during March Madness of last year. I knew he was just going to be. I knew he was just going to have that it factor. He is somebody that is promising, and I firmly believe between him and Franz and Cole Anthony, he probably has the best chance to become something big in this league. I think the problem with the Pistons is just what's been going on with Jeremy Grant. Obviously they looked at him as like, one of their premier players. They did a lot to get him, and then when he got there, he looked pretty promising, if you ask me. And then this whole just spill that he's had this year, he's been in and out ever since that incident with LeBron and Isaiah Stewart. They've just been kind of down. I mean, they were downhill to start, but they had a little bit of it's been nothing much to really look at. But I honestly thought they were going to be the worst team in the league between them and the Thunder. So they're overachieving in my standards, to be honest. Especially with Isaiah Stewart being out for some time, Jeremy Grant being out for some time. I know Cade didn't even start the season.
I was about to say that. He's averaging overall 16. He's at 16, 5.5, and 5 assists. Let's talk about the Houston Rockets really quick. Another team that's bottom of the barrel. I just saw them play the other night. Check out that vlog as well. Jalen Green was my pick for Rookie of the Year, and it doesn't really seem like it's fully panned out for him.
Yeah, no, I like them. I like the Rockets. I mean, they're not anything special. Obviously, we're talking about the bottom of the barrel here, but if I can be quite honest, that is one team that is at the bottom of the barrel that I was assuming to be a little bit better than they are. I didn't assume them to be worse than the Thunder. I think but I checked.
They are. They're the worst team in the West.
From what I remember before All-Star break, they were worse than the Thunder, and I didn't expect that at all. But they do have some promising players. I mean, I thought they were going to have a good mix of vets and young players like Eric Gordon and John Wall, and I guess you can consider Christian Wood a bit of a vet now.
John Wall hasn't even played a game.
He hasn't, and he hasn't been much of a factor, but I just feel like being on that team, having everybody's numbers, being in the locker room to boost the morale, that could help a little bit, but, I mean, obviously it hasn't helped too much. But, yeah, I mean, to be honest, out of all the teams that are at the bottom of the barrel, I would say they were a little bit of the most disappointing to me.
Yeah, I think there's some promising players there, though. Jalen Green, obviously, not in Rookie of the Year talks really, but I think he's got potential. And
he's not having a year at all.
Yeah, Alperen Şengün, I actually kind of like him because I saw that video of him in the post with Hakeem training. So if he's using his resources, man, he seems like he has some talent as well.
Yeah, he does.
We'll see. We'll see what happens. It's going to be a long process for them after what they did when they traded James Harden to the Nets.
Yeah.
We'll see where these picks fall. They're going to have a high pick this year, so they'll get a good player, and hopefully we'll see how it goes for them.
Hopefully, we'll see.
Let's move it on to the Oklahoma City Thunder here. The SGA and Josh Giddey show, a team in which we saw live this year together. Another vlog, a great one.
We did.
SGA, having another solid statistical season, 23 points a game, 5.5 assists, 5 rebounds. But again, only shooting 42%. I feel like, your boy Darius Bazley.
God.
He doesn't spread the floor.
I'm not big on Bazley at all. I'm not going to lie. I honestly, I'm going to be quite honest with you. This is the team that I thought was going to be by far the worst in the league, and they did Shy. I underestimated Shy. I underestimated Josh Giddey. I honestly underestimated Lou Dort as well as a scoring factor because I mean, when me, I personally am a Russell Westbrook fan, so Lou Dort was there when Russ and James Harden were playing against OKC, if I'm not mistaken, and Lou Dort put up 30 in the last game or something, and that was the only time I thought I'd ever see Lou Dort score like that, and he definitely has proved us wrong all throughout this year because they should be having a lot more of a disappointing season. I believe they're the youngest team in the league, but when I watched them, I mean, they beat the Lakers twice by 20, I think. They came back from games that they should not have. The game that we even watched, it was a great game. They put up a great fight.
I don't think they beat the Lakers by 20. It was just 2 close games that they beat them.
It was. Or maybe they came back from 20. Maybe my memory's
they had a comeback. Exactly. They had a comeback.
Yeah, it was something like
they
that.
Came back twice, I think.
They did. That's what I'm saying. It was 2 times. It was like deja vu kind of sort of. But yeah, it's just like when you watch games like that, like the Rockets have not had a game like that this year. The Magic have not had a game this year like that this year, and the Pistons have definitely not had any games like that this year. So I think they definitely are moving in the right direction. I mean, it's just like going back to the main point. You need star power in this league to be anything. And Shai is definitely star power, but he's obviously not an all-star yet. Josh Gideon is getting there as well. I think he's doing phenomenal for
one of the better rookies for sure. One of the better rookies.
Yeah, for sure. He creeped into the Rookie of the Year candidacy for sure.
12 points, 8 rebounds, 6 assists. That's first year. That's pretty damn good. Only 19 years old.
Those are pretty impressive. Yeah, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah. So let's go to a team that's just not very exciting. Another team, though, that we saw live this year, the San Antonio Spurs. And honestly, it's just been the DeJounte Murray show. I think they're achieving around what I expected. He's just been great. So just give me your thoughts on Murray real quick, and then we'll go to the next team.
I love Murray. I'm not gonna lie. He if I'm being honest, like I said, I'm a Russell Westbrook fan, and he kind of resembles Russ a little bit the most out of anybody I've seen in recent years, just with that dog killer mentality. I don't care who's in front of me. I'm going to defend. I'm going to play hard. I'm going to rebound. I'm going to shoot, and I'm just going to take it to your chest. You know, I love that about him. I love that he got in the All-Star game. He actually did really good in the All-Star game. I didn't even notice. I mean, everybody does good in the All-Star game. It's hard to do bad, but I think he had like 20 points, like silently, and was in like very clutch minutes. So, I mean, that just shows a little bit of promise for the Spurs. I just, like you said, it's just his world over there, and he's, you know, a bottom tier all-star right now, which is not anything bad. It's not anything to, you know, dance on, but I just when I watch them, I don't see much. I see like they have players that have great nights against great teams, but they're not great players, you know, at the end of the day, outside of DeJounte Murray, I'm sorry. And Jakob, I like Jakob, but you know, it's just they're not there. I feel bad for Pop because they just don't have, you know,
they don't have the talent. They don't have the talent
that we've seen them have in the past, 10, 15, 20, 30 years.
20 years plus. Like, you know, it was just, and their attendance is not doing great. It just really goes to show the point I made in the preview of the season. It's like, Pop is great, man, but you can't win in this basketball. You need stars, man. And Tim Duncan, Tony Parker, and Manu sometimes, in my opinion, you know, get slighted because of the coach. Let's talk about a team that's been in the talks a lot this season, but a lot of talk about them this season, I should say, but not for reasons having to do with on the court. In the beginning, I saw them play. There's a vlog up very early in the season. They came to LA, the Staples Center, and got wrecked. Damian Lillard and CJ McCollum, especially Damian Lillard, seemed like he was really struggling with either the new rules or coming off an injury. We clearly found out later he had an abdomen issue, and now he's been ruled out for the season, having only played 29 games. Yeah. He was averaging 24 points a game on 40% shooting, which doesn't sound horrendous, but it's his worst, it's his lowest PPG since the 2015 season when LaMarcus Aldridge was still there. And he's shooting, that's a career low 40%. Last year, he shot 39% from deep. This year, 32%. So Damian Lillard is looking like, and we like Damian Lillard, man. It looks like he's starting to hit a decline. The rules may have affected him. And he, you know, he wanted to stay. He didn't want to join up with LeBron and AD. There were talks that was the choice before Westbrook that LeBron and AD wanted. He didn't want to go be on a super team. That's Dame's thing. But he did not seem very happy this year. He seemed pretty disgruntled. Seems like he's like trying. He doesn't want to ask for a trade, but he may want to. In the end, the Blazers traded his boy CJ McCollum and finally made a move. Also traded Norman Powell to us, which I've talked about a lot. Give me your thoughts. I'd say from the Blazers side, they say they don't want – it seems like they don't want to rebuild. They want to retool around Dame. Just give me your thoughts on the CJ move and the direction that they're going in. And we also have to give a shout-out to Anthony Simons, who has really performed this season. I think it's part of the biggest reason why they traded Powell and got his contract off the books, because Simons is averaging 17 points a game this season, which is – he's gotten a chance with these injuries, and it's over – it's almost 10 full points more than last season. So career high, obviously. He could be honestly a candidate for. Yeah.
No, yeah. I was gonna say he's having like a Shy relatable breakout season to me, because like when Shy got traded to OKC, you know, me and you, we had the dialogue, and I was not big on it. I was like, oh my God, OKC won that trade. I mean, OKC lost that trade. Why would you give up Paul George?
I still think until they see the picks, they've lost the trade.
I believe no, for sure, but it's not as wide as a gap anymore to me at all, and that's just the vibe that I get from Simmons, because I'm sitting here thinking, why would you trade, while you're tanking, not tanking, but your best player's out, you trade away your second best player, and then you trade away your third best player. It's like, what kind of sense does that make? But Simmons is just making a case for, validating that trade, and I really do. I'm all for it. I'm all for it. I still am a little mind boggled at the trade because, I'm watching CJ now in New Orleans, and I was thinking maybe something was wrong with them. Maybe, he was on the decline and, they just didn't want him anymore. Obviously, that's not the case for Norman Powell. I don't know what his injury had to do with anything. Maybe they, detected it. I don't know. But neither of those two are on the decline. There was not really much reason. I mean, and then on top of that, I don't remember either of them being in trade talks the whole year anyways. Like, CJ's been on the trade talks, for the past few years or whatever. But yeah, I feel like this year it wasn't as prominent as past years, as previous years, So I was just a little shocked. I was a little confused. But I mean, the more I see Simmons play, the more I watch them play. I saw them beat the Lakers when, the Lakers probably should have beat them by 20. I saw them beat, I forgot what other team I saw them beat, but it was like back to back. It was like they beat the Lakers and they beat another team. And it was just like, what, you check the stat, you check the box after, and it's just Simmons all over the place. And Nurkic, Nurkic is obviously a great player as well. But yeah, I think Simmons is definitely has a promising future. I think he could honestly be a better second man piece to Dame than CJ ever was, to be honest.
You think Dame's going to stick around this offseason?
Who? You said who?
Dame. You think he's going to stick around this offseason? No request for trade?
I mean, I'm going to be honest. I've been seeing him in the media, and it's been a little, I don't know, because I see Dame as like the fiercest competitor there is. But then he says stuff like loyalty is the ultimate championship, and I don't need to go anywhere to, validate myself and this and that. And I just, when Russell Westbrook says stuff like that early in the year, people bash him for it, but people, praise Dame for it. And I just don't get it because, I mean, I understand being loyal. I understand staying with one team for your whole, career. But, I mean, even people like Kobe, like wanted to. I mean, I'm not going to speculate and say he wanted to trade, but I definitely do remember there was some time where Kobe was debating it. He even tried to recruit Dirk, and Dirk was debating it at one point. So even all these legends that stayed with their teams for however long, you're human. You want to be successful. You want to succeed, and I just don't see the Blazers succeeding. And I mean, if that's what Dame's okay with, then that's what he's okay with. I just don't see any. I don't see him getting a second man coming to Portland and really taking such a pay cut, if need be.
No, they have cap space. It's just like what huge free agent signs in Portland,
Nobody has ever showed any kind of interest, Like I've just never. Yeah. And then they trade away the two people that I feel like have all-star potential, And I don't know. It's just a little confusing. But I mean, I'm not the owner. I'm not the GM. I don't know what they got up their sleeves. So, hopefully they figure it out over there.
Yeah. Let's go to a team that's actually really disappointed me this season. I thought they would be the 9th seed because they always seem to be in that mix of playing teams or just making the playoffs. But this year really fell apart for them. They lost a lot of close games to start the season.
I was just going to say that,
including the game that Chris Duarte got almost against the Lakers, where he almost had a 4-point play to win the game. And then, I thought this team really was dependent on the health of Sabonis, Brogdon, Karis LeVert, and Miles Turner. And it's just been a grind for them. Malcolm Brogdon has only played 28 games, and Sabonis actually had a pretty good season. Has had a pretty good season in terms of health, but Karis LeVert I know missed some games, and they're just not very deep. So when they don't have those guys, it's just and plus even at their best, like that's a mediocre team. It's a solid team. It's a playoff team, but I was holding out hope for TJ Warren, but now it looks like they're going yard sale. And they traded their best player for Tyrese Halliburton. You were one of the few people I know that thought that Sacramento won the trade, and a lot of people, Kings fans, were livid about Halliburton. So let me know what your thoughts are here.
I still, honestly, if I'm being real, until it pans out, until maybe the end of the year where we can see, the difference in records, I still think that the Kings won that trade. I am very, very, very big on Sabonis. I'm a little biased because he played in OKC with Russ, so I want to see anybody who played on that team flourish. And he's just a monster. I was very disappointed that he was gone. But honestly, I'm going to have to disagree with you. At the beginning of the season, I thought the Pacers could have been a 3, maybe 4 seed. I did not think
Wow, really? I had them as like my 9th seed.
I like them. I just like the setup of the team, and I just feel like with 2 big men like Miles Turner and Sabonis, obviously Sabonis isn't there anymore, but I just feel like with 2 big men like that are both dominant on the boards, and then you have Miles Turner, who's probably the first, if not second best shot blocker in the league, clogging the paint up like that, you're going to have a little bit more success, just regardless, just because nobody plays that style of basketball anymore besides the Cavs. And we see how the Cavs turned out when they got a second big man like that. Well, Jared Allen too, but Jared, anyways, I just feel like the Pacers, they could have been a lot more successful than they are. I mean, like we said, they traded away for, Halliburton for some youth, and Buddy Hield. Buddy Hield actually has been having a hell of a season too on the Pacers. I think he almost had a 40-point game the other day. But yeah, I mean, it's a little disappointing. They're definitely one of the more disappointing teams that I've watched throughout the year. And then, like you said, every game I watch them, it's close, man. It's close. It's just like they don't have that go-to. You think that is Brogdon,
Yeah.
LeVert, you think that is Sabonis, but maybe just having all that together mixed in is just, it's hard on a coach. It's hard on a personnel. On a coaching personnel, on a staff, and
they've had 27 players suit up for them this season. That's a lot.
And some of them like Dwayne Washington. I know he
killed the Clippers one game. It was ridiculous. He gets hot.
Yeah, he like players like him. He's been good. Maybe it's gonna be.
It's rebuild though. Now it's gonna be rebuild season.
It is, for sure. And I'm looking forward to it because I don't know what it is, but I have a little, maybe because they're like the underdogs, and I just want to see any underdogs succeed. But I feel like I've been a little biased towards the Pacers for some reason. I don't know. I want to see them succeed because I just feel like they have the talent. They don't have a superstar. They don't have anybody outside of Sabonis. Karis LeVert, he was a bit of a star. Maybe a superstar. But yeah, I just
Halliburton though.
Yeah, I got to see it out of Halliburton first before I deem him as good as everybody thinks he's going to be, because I like him. Don't get me wrong, I like him, but I don't see him being, I don't know, better than Sabonis right now, I guess. As a guard.
I know. No. Fair. I know a lot of people are going to be wanting to go for Miles Turner this summer, so it's going to be very interesting.
I like Miles Turner. He's a dog, and he averages the most blocks in the league. I mean, if you can have somebody that gives you 3 extra possessions a game, I mean, why not?
Yes, sir. He is. Yeah, I think he does lead. He's been one of the top shot blockers in the league for a couple of years now. Let's go over to the Wizards, though, who have had a roller coaster of a season. They started out with the #1 record in the East, but through like 15, 16 games. Kuzma was flourishing. Montrezl was flourishing. They had Daniel Gafford in there. Denny Avdia has been healthier. Beal was sacrificing, but still scoring 20-plus points. And Spencer Dinwiddie was off to a solid start. But ever since then, they have fallen off a cliff. They've kind of regressed to what I think people expected of them. Most people thought of them. I had them as a 13 seed, but the wheels fell off the wagon because people have said, multiple reports that there's been fighting all season within the locker room. The 2 biggest names, it seems, that were mentioned, Spencer Dinwiddie, who's no longer on the team as we're recording this, and Bradley Beal. And I can see why that's a thing. Both, with Spencer, he's a guy that in the teams that he's been on with the Nets, he's only been on the Nets, right? Yeah, it's only Nets, and it was Nets and then the Wiz. But he was a guy that with 2019 and 20, he really had a lot, especially that year 20 when Kyrie got injured in the bubble. He was really, I don't think he was playing in the bubble, actually. It was before the bubble. He was controlling the ship. He's a guy that is running your offense, running pick and rolls. And I think Beal is the guy that, this is his team. And I can see that being a thing. Obviously, Thomas Bryant and Rui Hachimura didn't play their first games of the season until 2022. So that they haven't had them. I think they just got off to a good start. But now, they had that 35-point comeback that they allowed to the Clippers. And, man, I was listening to a space on Twitter, and they were killing Bradley Beal. I know it goes back to what I said last season. He doesn't really lead by example to me. He's not a leader. Wall and Westbrook really led the teams. He doesn't set a tone on defense. at all. He scores points throughout the game, but I remember last season, you can go back to my recaps, guys. I did the Wizards because of Westbrook last season. And it's just there weren't games where like Beal would take over. Beal would score a ton of points to make you call a timeout when you're winning, you know?
Yeah.
It's just his points didn't have to – I don't like to use the word empty stats because I feel like that's harsh because it's not easy to lead the league in scoring and average 30. But for anybody that's averaged 30 that I've seen, man, it just seemed like that team ran when Russ ran. Like when Russ came back and started playing well, they made the playoffs. So give me your thoughts on the Wizards. You've been able to catch any of their games? And what's your
no, for sure. I honestly, I mean, I watched them a little bit more in the beginning of the season when they were a little better, which is why I wasn't even aware of the conflict that was going on. But the conflict doesn't make sense to me because I feel like Bradley Beal had, I mean, and not to say that person, I mean, everybody has different personalities, of course, but I mean, Bradley Beal has played with only ball dominant. Maybe not ball dominant, but I mean, even when John Wall was there, him and March and Gortat were getting into it because Gortat was saying John Wall didn't pass the ball enough and he wasn't a good teammate and he wasn't this and that. But it seemed like John Wall and Bradley Beal were the best of friends. And then, Russell Westbrook comes by, who is probably the most ball dominant point guard that, of the past however many years. And Bradley Beal had his best year of his career. The Wizards make the playoffs and they actually get a game or two off against the 76ers, I think.
Yeah, one game.
Yeah, and so it's like I don't and Spencer Dinwiddie, I mean, maybe it's just because his ego is bigger than
he has all-star confidence.
Yeah, his confidence and the ego is bigger than what he provides to the team, and maybe it's just vice versa with Russ and John Wall. Maybe, they made Bradley Beal feel like this is your team, I'm just here to be the point guard. And I think
Spencer, though, he's like an attack-first point guard, and he's coming off of surgery, and he's shooting 37% from the field. Like, he's not been the same at all. And that's the thing about Spencer. He started out pretty well, but he looked – what's up?
No, I was going to say, when I've watched, he's looked good. He's looked good. I mean, he doesn't look great, but, I mean, he's putting points on the board. He's making good plays. He's playing under his tempo. He's not going out of his game. When I watch the Wizards, they look like a team that could, compete with maybe not the best of them, but a good majority of the league, and just to keep it simple, they could not. That was just not the case.
Yeah, I mean, Spencer, when I watched him in the beginning of the season, he looked good, but then when I saw him recently, when we came back from 35 down, he just did not look like himself. He looked like he had lost his confidence.
Yeah,
it was weird. Like he was forcing it. He was really forcing it. It just didn't look like it was natural for him. Like he usually has been. The only thing I'll say about these guys is, so they traded Montrezl to the Charlotte Hornets. Beal's out for the season with the wrist surgery. So they're a team that's in the middle. Is Beal Beal's kind of holding the team hostage. They got to get rid of him, honestly. Yeah. I think it's for the best now for the Wizards to just take him out of here.
Yeah.
Seriously. And get something for him.
Yeah.
They just got Kristaps Porzingis. They just got Kristaps Porzingis. I think that's going to be really interesting.
Yeah, to say the least.
It's going to be a next season. It's going to be a next season thing. The Wizards are not going to make the plan. Do you think they're going to make it?
No. I mean, what does it look like right now? I forgot what the standings look like before All-Star Weekend, but
so they're 11th. They're 11th right now. They're 4 games under 500, and the Hawks are 2 games under. And the Hawks are 2 games under 500. But the Knicks are also 2.5 games behind them.
Oh, the Knicks. They might catch the Knicks, but they're not catching the Hawks.
No, the Knicks are below the Wizards.
Oh, no.
I was just saying that they'll probably surpass them by season's end.
Who's 10th then? Who are the Wizards fighting?
Hawks.
No, they're not beating the Hawks out. The Hawks are on a roll right now. The Hawks were like 13th, and they jumped up right before All-Star Weekend, and that's all you need. That's all you need, just some momentum going into All-Star Weekend. So I don't think they're catching. I don't see the Wizards. I don't even want the Wizards to make the playoffs. I mean, no disrespect or anything, but they're just not an interesting team. I'd much rather see the Hawks and the Hornets.
Let's talk about another team that it's been really weird. I talked to the guy from Propels Talk, Justin, before the season. Zion, it was a whole fiasco. It's only gotten more ridiculous. Yeah, he has not played a single game. He's been out the whole year. He's looked out of shape. When people take, he's been a huge point of media memes and stuff, how big he is. That's a huge joke now. It's like, and now there's rumors that he doesn't want to be in New Orleans, but JJ
insinuated that with
words calling that that he didn't contact CJ McCollum. It's Brandon Ingram has been left on an island. Jonas Valentinis is a good player, having a good season. Herb Jones and Trey Murphy are good rookies. I've seen them play once and they killed us when Jonas Valentinis went Dirk Nowitzki on us in the vlog. Check that out.
Devontae Graham,
Brandon Ingram, what's up?
Devontae Graham, he's been all right. He hasn't been nothing special this year.
The main move, though, is bringing in C.J. McCollum. Trading Josh Hart. You're bringing in C.J. McCollum, who is giving you next season, if Zion can get healthy, a real big three. All three guys. Well, C.J. McCollum has never made an all-star team, but he is definitely an all-star caliber player. You know, Brandon Ingram has another guy that can score. How will they all work together when they play? Well, we need Zion to get on the court. So what do you think of the move to get CJ and the season they're having? They're currently in 12th. Can they make a run for that 10 spot and get in instead of the Portland Trailblazers, who are only about 2 games above them?
Okay. I can see that. I like that, actually. I kind of like that. I think they do, honestly, because like I mentioned earlier, he's been having a year on the Pelicans. I mean, it's a very, very small sample size right now.
Yeah.
But from what I've been seeing,
28 points on the Pels.
Yeah. Like what I'm seeing right now, he came and it's like 1A, 1B with Brandon Ingram right now. You know, usually when you come onto a team, it's a little hard to mesh in together and, you know, to get a win or two out, you know, especially when you have ball dominant people like CJ and Brandon Ingram. I mean, Brandon Ingram can pass, don't get me wrong, but he's definitely a back to the basket, off the dribble kind of guy, you know, like I'm going to get mine up. And then if anybody else is open at the time, you know, I'm going to make a good pass, make the right play. But I think that it can mesh well. I think, honestly, they have a lot of potential between Brandon Ingram, Jonas Valentinis, and CJ McCollum. That is a dirty that's a dirty trio right there. I can't even lie to you. I get a little bit of Jaren Jackson, not literally, not same play styles, but Jaren Jackson, Ja, and Steven Adams there, you know, just the kind of personnel that they have, the potential that there's there.
Who's Jaren Jackson, though, in this situation? I see the Valentinis. Valentinis was traded for Steven Adams, but this is 2 wings.
Yeah, that's very similar. But Jaren Jackson obviously isn't the same kind of player as Brandon Ingram, but I just like the way that those 3 mesh together. I like the way that they're obviously flourishing right now. But I see a lot of potential in it. I mean, I would much rather, no disrespect to the Portland Trailblazers, but I would much rather see a Zion-less Pelicans team make the playoffs than the Trailblazers. Yeah, than the Blazers, because I think that they can actually shake something up. You know, they might in the play-in give, you know, the Clippers or the Lakers or whoever else makes a play-in a run for their money. Because I mean, let's be honest, between Brandon Ingram, CJ, and Jonas Valanciunas, and then all the role players that they have, that's a good trio. I mean, those are 3 people who can give you 20 points a night.
They can.
On a consistent basis. They all can, and I mean, I'm sure we will see a night where they all will.
My question is, before we move on to the Hornets, Zion. What's your thoughts on this guy, man?
I'm disappointed. I mean, I love Zion. I love seeing him beat up on little kids in high school and then doing the same at Duke. And I don't know. I've been hearing a lot of Greg Oden talk, and I close my ears when I hear it, because I don't want to see that at all. I want to see him be great. He was averaging like 27, 28 points the year that he played. I mean, it's like, damn, like is this really happening, you know, in front of our eyes? Because who would have thought, you know? I mean, you could have probably guessed being 300 pounds and 6'8" and jumping that high every time, you know, is not good for your health. But
by the way, if anybody watches this a couple years later, Brandon Ingram is not an all-star because he's on a bad team. But Brandon Ingram's having a good season. So
yeah,
I just wanted to point that out there for everybody.
I wouldn't have been mad if it was him over Jonte Murray. But yeah.
Let's go to the Charlotte Hornets, and I don't want to spend too much time on them just because they're achieving exactly what I thought. LaMelo's having a great year. He made the All-Star team on a replacement. Adam Silver chose him, I think, because he's exciting, but you can make a case for him. Gordon Hayward, Terry Rozier have been healthy this season. They don't have too much depth, though. That's why they made a move to get Mon Trader. I think Kelly Oubre is having a slightly better year than last year. It looks like it statistically. He's averaging 16 points, and every time I've seen him, he's played better. Mason Plumlee's been their starting center.
He's been good.
He played 51 games. PJ Washington, they don't really have a backup big, though. And PJ Washington, you know, he's played 43 games. He's only started 6. He's only averaging 10 points. Like, this guy was a lottery pick. Like, he's not really panning out. He's just becoming just a pick and pop guy, I guess. I'm guessing he doesn't play more because of defense. Yeah, but the real story of this team has been Miles Bridges. And the guy that, in my opinion, should be the most improved player this season. Give me your thoughts on this team real quick.
For sure. I'm a Michigan State guy to the day I die. I mean, I have no real affiliation with them, but I just have always loved Tom Izzo and the way that he produces his people. And between all the people in the league that are right now from Michigan State, they're all dogs. I mean, they're all just dogs. Jaren Jackson, Draymond Green, Miles Bridges. You know, I love Miles Bridges, and I'm so happy that he's flourishing right now. Every time I watch them, it seems like he's their one. It seems like he like if they need a bucket, they're going to go to him. And at times, it also does seem like Terry Rozier, rightfully so, because Terry Rozier does know how to get a bucket. He knows how to maneuver his way through a defense and make the right play at the end of the day. And I think Miles is just a little younger, and he makes a little bit of a bonehead play sometimes. He goes for a highlight reel a little bit too much. Maybe not a little bit too much because he is a walking highlight reel. At the end of the day, he is young. He's going to make mistakes, as does LaMelo. LaMelo is really overachieving to my standards. I did not see him doing too well coming out the bat, rookie year, sophomore year.
He became an all-star before his brother.
Yeah. Yeah, that's not as surprising to me.
Yeah,
I never saw Lonzo as an all-star, but I definitely can say that just the fact that he is an all-star is surprising to me in the second year, for sure. But I'm loving the Hornets right now. I love the trade for Montrez. I think that he adds exactly what they needed to their team. Like you said, a backup big man that just comes in and provides that dog, because I know that they're one of the best offense.
He's from there too. He's from Carolina.
I didn't know. Well, that's a good plus. That's a big plus.
Yeah, he seems a lot happier. And I think he was one of the people that was arguing in the locker room as well. I know he's one of those guys that will stand up to BS, and he's definitely been in the locker room. He's had issues with guys in the past, let's put it that way. Miles Bridges, by the way, people have been talking about most improved. To me, it's not a contest now that I'm looking at the stats. He averaged 13 points last year, and he's averaging 20 this year on 48% shooting.
What'd you say? Heard. Said people have been arguing DeJounte Murray from what I've heard.
Ooh, he could be one. He could be one as well. So one of those two. I think I saw a little bit more in Murray, but maybe that's just me. Yeah. But I'd say Miles Bridges would be my pick. Gordon Hayward has played 48 games out of 60, which is not bad, but now he got injured, February 9th, out indefinitely. I think this team will finish in the play-in spots. I think they'll be in the seeding. But really, it's like if the Knicks, that segues us perfectly into the next team, the Knicks, can try to get something going here and surpass them. But the Knicks have had their own issues this season. And I mean, I've talked about them at length this season, and I think it all starts with Julius Randle. He has had a really weird season. He's not hitting the jump. I already think that his issue to me offensively, first of all, he's just not a number one guy, and everyone knows that. Yeah. He played out of his skin last year in terms of hitting contested shots. He's gotten a lot better, but he was hitting contested jumpers. I always thought he posted up too high. He started his move too high, where the whole defense can load up and just watch him while everyone stands around. Yeah. But it's like, I don't think everyone knows what Randall wants to do. He wants to drive to his left hand. Yeah. And if he gets to his right, he likes to pull up. But I'm living with a contested jumper from Randall if I'm the defense. Whereas when he catches it, I'm always a fan of bigger guys catching it in the low post. So then if you're doubling from the top, you got to come all the way down. It's a bigger rotation, a bigger, longer distance to help, Then everybody just loading up and looking at him. But not hitting those same jump shots. They brought in Evan Fournier and Kemba Walker for offense because that's what they lacked last season, but they have lost the defensive component that made them so great last season. People have said that they can't defend. Last year, they literally won games on defense. And I think a lot of that starts on the top with Randall and his effort. And he's gotten booed this season by the fans. He has had emotional outbursts. He apologized to the fans. He's been playing better recently. What'd you say?
And he apologized and then goes and does the same thing. It's just so weird.
Yeah, he's had moments where he didn't help teammates up when other teammates did. It's been a wild ride for Julius Randle and the Knicks. Derrick Rose being injured really hurt them as well. But yeah, they can't defend. Thibodeau's been under some heat as well from the fans. And then Obi Toppin's having a better season. But Nerlens Noel has missed games. It's been a wild ride. The only positive I'd say besides Obi Toppin has also been, and also Quentin Grimes has also been RJ Barrett, who had a huge game against the Clippers and the Lakers. I said he could be an all-star on my podcast in a couple of years. Maybe it's time that they start shifting it towards RJ. But Randall, he got really hyped up after last season. Really hyped up. What are your thoughts on the Knicks, man?
I'm gonna be honest. I think in at least the past few months, the Knicks are probably one of the teams I've been watching them more than others for God knows what reason. I don't know what attracts me to their game. It's just something to watch, I guess. I don't know. But they are probably the weirdest team this year because I feel like, and we had this dialogue a little earlier, I feel like their scoring is, and as weird as it sounds, too evenly dispersed. Like nobody on their team, and as much as you want to think Julius Randle really is that much more of a better scorer than anybody else on their team, I think that's the problem because there's times where I'll watch and people like Alec Burks is coming down the floor taking every shot, and I no disrespect to Alec Burks. He's a great player. I think he's one of the better scorers on that team for sure. But when I see him, Emmanuel Quickly, Grimes, like you said, even like I'll see like Obi Toppin take, a wild, wacky shot. And it's just like that was not supposed to be in this offensive scheme. It's just they do stuff based on the fact that they all think that they can do it, and they don't have that. I don't know if Julius Randle is a vocal leader. I don't know if he, has taken that role or who has taken that role because they don't have much vets on the team. I know Taj Gibson. I know Derrick Rose, obviously Kemba Walker. But none of those guys to me, I mean, Taj Gibson maybe more than others, aren't vocal. I know we all know Derrick Rose isn't as vocal as,
definitely
other vets. Kemba Walker, he leads by example. He's definitely a leader by example. He took it to the chin, sat on the bench earlier this year. But I just don't know who is getting them all in line because when I watch, they look like a very skilled and talented AAU team. Like they're just out there running around, so shooting shots that they probably make in practice thousands of times. Granted that they're all NBA players, they're all great, they're all good scorers, but between like Evan Fournier, Kemba Walker, Emmanuel Quickly, Alec Burks, Julius Randle, even the fact that I'm naming all these people, that's already too much. Like you're all trying to get 14 to 15 a game, trying to shoot, 40%. That's not going to work. That's
a very, very interesting point because they don't have one guy on their team who averages 20 points. Julius Randle basically rounded up.
I'm sure they have at least 4 to 5 that average in between 10 and 20.
They do. And it's Julius Randle this season rounding up. He's averaging 19.8. So round up to 20. So he's basically averaging 20 and 10. But last year he averaged 24 and 10. He shot 45.5%. This year, 42%. And last year, the outlier, 41% from 3. This year, 30%, which is much more like the rest of his career.
High 20s, low 30s this year. I don't even know the statistics, but from what I see, he just shoots. He just shoots, and it's just empty-minded. It's just like what, like you like. This is not the 4-seed Knicks that we saw last year. This is not. I don't know. They're the wackiest team in the league that I've watched for sure.
And everyone knows that Julius Randle, like they're all scheming for Randle now, and I just don't think that he's a star like that. Like what I'm saying? It's nothing. Again, no disrespect to Julius, who's a really good player. I always liked Julius Randle, but he's not a star. Like he needs somebody better than him. You know what I'm saying? He's been put in a position because he had a great 41% from 3. Like that's insane. I didn't even remember that it was that high. But it's been a train wreck. If they can get Derrick Rose back, I don't know what his status is. They can maybe make the run at the play-in, but it's been a disaster, man. But RJ Barrett averaging 18 points. He's improving.
RJ Barrett has definitely been a bright spot for them. I'm not going to lie. I was never big on RJ Barrett. I think his game is – I thought his game was very statued. I thought he was very boxy, when he was with his movement. But he's definitely showing some bright spots. He's definitely shooting better, which is helping him play better because people are taking his shot a little bit more seriously, and his game is more aggressive, drive to the hole kind of game. So he's able to pump fake, get 2 dribble, 1 dribble to the hole. And he's long. He's 6'7". He
plays defense too, which I like.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. He's what's the word? Athletic. I'm sorry, I'm blanking out. He's athletic, and so that obviously always helps with defense. And he does guard. I want to say out of everybody on that team consistently, he's the one guarding the best player on the other team.
Seems like it.
And you might see him in other people's highlight reels, of hitting game winner. I know Kyrie hit a game winner on him. Jimmy Butler hit a game winner on him. And this might have been last year, but it's because he's taken that step to guard. Yeah, that challenge to guard these people. And whenever I watch, he is really the only one. Him and Mitchell Robinson, but that goes without being said. Mitchell Robinson is a great defender. That's really all about he's great at. But yeah, those two, they're keeping that team alive, defensively at least. Offensively, I don't really know what they got going on. It literally just looks like a whole bunch of guys just going out there trying to score 15 points a game.
That's true.
Shooting. Yeah.
Let's go to a team that is the exact opposite that the Knicks were last year. The team that knocked them out. The team that's, in my opinion, been the most disappointing team in the league besides the Lakers, the Atlanta Hawks. The team that made it to the conference finals last year, returned the same roster basically, and has had a train wreck of a season. Yeah. They started out slow. They had DeAndre Hunter, out for a large period of time. Again, after last season, he had, problems staying healthy. They lost Tony Snell, who came in and did a really good job for them at 3-and-D last year. And they've admittedly said multiple times, Trey Young, and I don't remember who else, John Collins maybe, said, I know Trey Young said, it's hard, when you've played in Eastern Conference Finals games to just get up for a regular season game. But this is what separates guys like the Spurs that we were talking about earlier from the past. Every single year you're going to get teams shots now. People know the Hawks are good. Yeah. You got to be prepared for that. And last year, there's no more sneaking up on teams. Clint, there's been a lot of COVID issues with that team. Lou Williams and Gallinari look past it. Gallinari is shooting his worst percentage since the year he was with us when he was injured all the time before the 2019 team. Lou Williams is only averaging 6 points a game. And Bogdanovich has had a little statistical drop-off as well. Capella had a great season last year. His stats look good this season, but not like they were last season. And they are the, by defensive rating, third worst team in the league defensively in the entire NBA.
I'm not surprised.
Trey Young having a great statistical season again. He does not set any tone on defense. We already know that. Last year, they were able to get away with it. Kevin Huerter, similar season. Collins is not really improving. I really like John Collins, though, but it just seems like, at least statistically, he's not. And it seems like he's still inconsistent. So give me your thoughts on this team. How much have you watched of them? DeAndre Hunter's back, and they've started rolling. They were 7 games below 500, and then they won 7 games in a row. They've won 2 games going into the All-Star break. They're getting it together, but they still it's going to be a real sprint to the finish line for the Hawks to see if they can pick up that form, because their fans, especially a lot of them on Twitter, are hilarious. They really have so much confidence in this team they can still pull something off. Yeah. But,
I mean, do you blame them? They were what?
No, I don't.
They were the 7th seed last year, or the 6th seed or 5th seed. I don't remember, but they were definitely they didn't have home court advantage, not one playoff series. And I mean, look where that got them, And so I don't blame any Atlanta fans for having the faith that they do. I would too if I had Trey Young on my team, the way that he played in his first playoffs. But yeah, I mean, I just to piggyback off of what you said, their defense is just atrocious. Every time I've watched a good amount of them. And from what I see, it's just every game, either them or the other team is scoring 120 points. They're one of those teams that it's just there's points on the board. You got to outscore me, and they play quick. They play fast. They usually play 4 guards or 4 wings at least.
Traded Cam Reddish. I mean, that was a big move for Kevin.
Yeah, I didn't really get that. I mean, I understand that he wanted to be somewhere else and he wasn't saying much about it and was just being humble. But I feel like Cam Reddish could have really been a help.
That's something we didn't talk about with the Knicks too, man, that they didn't even want Cam Reddish, which is ridiculous. I feel bad for the guy. He hasn't really gotten a shot, man.
No, not at all. They're not playing him at all. Neither did the Hawks.
Exactly. And he showed, like, the problem with it is, he had some games where he looked good, some games where he looked bad. But that's the life of a young player that's getting used to the league. You can't just keep taking him out. You know what I'm saying?
You can't knock him on the head for that. Right off the bat. You shouldn't, and you can't.
So what are the Hawks going to do? I had them as a 3 seed. They're the 10 right now. It's looking like my worst prediction of them all. What are they going to do?
I was going to say that they're the most disappointing team in the league. And then I thought about LA, and we don't even need to talk about that right now. But yeah, I want to see Atlanta do good though. I think they can. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I think they can get out the play-in. I think that they're a better team than a team like Charlotte, than a team like.
I could definitely see them if it was if right now if the season came to an end, it would be the Charlotte Hornets and the Hawks. One game in Charlotte. I'm taking Trey Young, honestly.
I'm taking the Hawks. Yeah, I'm taking the Hawks. And then I even think that they can slip past. Unfortunately, I hate to say this because they're so good right now and they're on the come up. But I think they can slip past a team like Cleveland if they saw them in the
Whoa,
playoffs.
whoa. Cleveland right now, bro, is looking like they're going to be in the playoff spot.
They are. They are.
No,
No.
You're saying, but here's the thing, bro. If they even beat the Charlotte Hornets, if you're the 10 seed, they need to win another play-in game, like the Memphis Grizzlies.
Yeah.
Like you know, the Grizzlies, did they win 2 playoff? No, they didn't win 2 playoff
No,
games. If you're the 10 seed, though, you need to win 2, I believe. So they'd have to play against the loser of the 7-8.
Who's the 7-8 right now in the East?
Perfect segue. The Toronto Raptors right now sit in the 7th spot in the Eastern Conference, and they have been one of the surprises of the season. I had them finishing 10th, and they were hovering around that for a while.
They were.
Van Vliet has had a career year. He is on the All-Star team this year for the first time. You could have also argued that Pascal Siakam, who just recovered from a surgery and came back after missing the beginning of the season, has been fantastic, having a career year. 22 points, 9 rebounds, and 5 assists for Siakam on 49.5% shooting. And then Van Vliet's having a great year. OG Anunoby, I picked him as most improved. He hasn't necessarily improved like I thought, but he's averaging 17.5. And then Gary Trent Jr. is averaging 18.6 points a night, and they're averaging 40% shooting the ball from 3. And instead of having a center, they've gone with a small ball switch everything kind of scheme with Siakam at the 5, OG, and then the Ox, Scottie Barnes, who's a candidate for Rookie of the Year, who I saw in Boston. Check out my vlog at the Celtics game, averaging 14.4 points and 7.4 boards a game. This Raptors team is going to be a playoff team, definitely a play-in, at least play-in. You know, they'll have a postseason game. We'll see if they have a playoff game. They're back in Canada this year. You know, they started tanking towards the end of last year. There was the whole Kyle Lowry. You know, he wasn't healthy. He's getting traded. They were ravaged by COVID. But they're back this year, and Siakam and Van Vliet are developing. They got Gary Trent, who's been great, and Scottie Barnes has been awesome. So tell me your thoughts on the Raptors. Have you Raptors games?
No, there's nobody. And I'm not gonna lie, I for some reason, this is just another team that I've gravitated towards, and I've watched a little more than others in recent time. And I think they are literally the complete and utter opposite of the New York Knicks. And when I say that, I don't mean that in a literal sense, but they also have a whole bunch of people who go out every game and try and score 15 to 18 points a game on 40% shooting. But it works because they all play hard. They have chemistry together. And I'm going to be honest, I don't know what it is, or maybe it's the coaching staff. We all know that the coaching staff over there is phenomenal. But they know how to disperse each other. Like when Gary Trent is hot, Gary Trent's hot. When Fred VanVleet is hot, Fred VanVleet is hot. And I'm not going to lie. I know you said that OG hasn't really improved as much as you thought, but when I watched him, he looks like a second, like, best player sometimes. Like, he looks better than Siakam at times. He's out there knocking threes down that I've never thought in how long. I never thought he was going to be that good of a three-point shooter. Don't know what his percentage is this year, but I bet it'll reflect the exact play that he's been having on the year, because I see
35. It's around the same as Siakam. It's just Siakam lately has just been on a tear. Like the last.
He has. Siakam hasn't been good. I'm just not the biggest fan of Siakam's game. It's a little loosey-goosey for me. He's definitely a great player. He's long, athletic, and he's hard-working. When
he's hitting the mid-range, though, it opens up a lot.
For sure. And he's 6'10", 6'11". He's shooting over just about 99% of the league. So he's going to be a great player. He is a great player. But he's not surprising me this year at all. I would definitely say OG Anunoby is maybe not the heartbeat of that team. He kind of has like him and Scottie Barnes, when they're on the court together, they both have like a Draymond effect to that team. They dribble the ball up the court. They handle the ball. They rebound. They both pass very well for 6'8", 6'9" wings. And they're both, cock strong. Like, they're both really big, athletic wings. And that's why that small ball works, because they're smaller on the taller side, on the 4-5 side. But I mean, with Pascal Siakam 6'10", OG Anunoby 6'8", and Scottie Barnes in there 6'9", I mean, you can play Fred VanVleet and Gary Trent in there and get what you want, because they're all 5 all across the board dogs. And then Chris Boucher, he's been really good this year. He has a weird shot, but it goes in. I mean, every time I watch him play, he is laying it out on the floor. He's a little undersized for his size, but I mean, he gets the job done. I mean, simply put, he just gets the job done every time.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they do in the postseason. It'll be interesting to see how Siakam bounces back from that terrible bubble he had, which is the last time we saw him in the postseason.
Yeah.
But we're gonna go brief with this one. But the Lakers, it's been a complete train wreck. The move to get Russell Westbrook has not paid off. The big three have not been healthy, and that's hurt them. And Westbrook's had an up and down year. We've seen him get booed. LeBron's having a great statistical year.
Yeah.
But I always call him out for his half-assed defensive effort, which Russell Westbrook and him do not defend very well. And they lost their wing defenders, their perimeter defenders, which I mentioned in the preview with Caruso and KCP. They have really missed them. Their guards die on screens. They have good offensive players, creators, though. Malik Monk has been fantastic. Austin Reeves has been a good young player for them that we didn't expect. And then THT, he was not good with Westbrook and LeBron because that's another creator. He's not a catch-and-shoot guy. They've brought him off the bench, and we've seen better results recently. But they just cannot seem to stay healthy when it comes to the big three. Now Anthony Davis is going to be out for a while. LeBron's still playing very well, though, offensively. Let me ask you this, man, as a Westbrook fan. What the hell is going on with Westbrook? And what do you think the Lakers can do to utilize him better? Because Vogel, started out with DeAndre Jordan starting to begin the season, which was he was trying to replicate his 2020 team. Yeah. But DeAndre is not JaVale McGee, and Westbrook, can't penetrate with those two. And then LeBron's not he's been shooting better from three this year, but it's like people are not, sticking attached to LeBron at the 3-point line. You know what I mean? It was a tough scheme. Yeah. Westbrook could not get much going. Anthony Davis was criticized a lot, but we know what he brings on defense. Yeah. We see LeBron at the 5. It's so many things to try to accommodate, but Russ has not gotten his confidence.
Yeah, man. If I'm being honest, if I'm being completely honest, and I hate to say this because I was a naysayer. I was a non-believer at the beginning of the season because this was really the biggest critic. I'm not critic, but this was the most critical aspect of the Lakers that people were talking about. They're just old, man. They're just old. I mean, Russ, I never wanted to believe it because he's been one of my favorite, if not my favorite player to watch of all time, really, since he's been in the league. And he just doesn't have that first step anymore, man. And I never believed that he was going to lose it. I never believed he was going to lose it. I just thought that he's been doing it for so long. He's been doing it since high school. He's been doing it at UCLA. Then he comes into the league and, he goes to the finals and goes crazy in the finals, for what it's worth at 21 years old. And he has all this energy. He's all over the place. And even last year on the Wizards, he had a month. I forgot what month it was, but he was averaging some insane stats.
He played great. Listen, this guy averaged a triple-double last year and was
and it's
in the playoffs last year.
Looking at him this year, you definitely wouldn't have assumed so. But there's nobody in life that's ever beat Father Time. At the end of the day, and I think people are just being a little harsh on him. Not even just being biased, but just because he's 33 years old, man. I think out of everybody in the league, he's played the most games in the past 10 to 12 years, consistently on a consistent basis. And so with that being said, obviously wear and tear and the way that he plays, obviously, it's going to wear and tear. Father Time is always going to win. Father Time is going to win 99.999% of the time. And just looking at him, he's doing all the same Russell Westbrook stuff that we've seen him do, but he's just not as explosive. He's not able to blow by people as much.
He's not hitting his jumpers, man. That's the big thing too. They don't.
Although I am seeing stats, and I know you're not the biggest stat guy, but I am seeing some stats about his mid-range shots and his field goal percentage this year that are. You wouldn't think,
bro. They're not that far from the norm. It's true.
They're not terrible. We see the terrible, but they're not terrible. He's not shooting bad. I just think he's a step slower, and it's easier to guard him. People don't fear him as much anymore. People aren't really, oh my God, Russell Westbrook is coming at me 80 miles per hour from one baseline to the other. They just rely on him. To lose the ball because he's just that much of a step slower. But he's definitely been, just from a standpoint of him being my favorite player, he's definitely been one of the most disappointing things this year. I'm always going to ride or die for him, so I always am going to bring up his positives. But at the end of the day, he's definitely not having his best. He's having his worst year, obviously, that I can ever remember. But, let's be real. He's averaging, 18?
8 and 8 around?
8-8. You know, who we just said we were just talking about Jonte Murray, who's having his best year of his career, and he's averaging what 28-4. You know, and so it's like he's not.
No, it was like 29-8.
29-8. Okay, you know that's better. It's definitely significantly better, but 29-8 versus 18-8-8. If you take away the names, the stats, to everything else besides those three numbers, I mean, let's be real. It's not terrible, you know.
Yeah,
it's standards. It is bad. Let's be real. I mean, it is. He's getting paid $45 million a year. He's an MVP. He's a scoring champ. He's an assist champ. You know, he's all that. And so I get it. I get the criticism. But I mean, at the end of the day, if he wasn't on this Lakers team, their age would really be showing. Because
he's only missed like 2 or 3 games this whole season.
You know, exactly.
So, and that's been big. He has 23 double-doubles and 9 triple-doubles this season.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it's not all bad. Let's just put it that way. It's not all bad. I mean, AD is like he might as well be the oldest person in the league the way that he gets hurt. You know,
AD has missed 21 games. LeBron has missed 17 games. It's been really tough to build any sort of chemistry or rhythm with this squad. They don't defend. And I know the defensive rating has the middle of the pack. Trust me, man, they do not defend. And they don't get enough stops. So then they have to constantly play half-court basketball with Russ and LeBron, who in the half-court, it's just not – people did not think it would be a good fit, and it hasn't been. I thought they were going to try to be able to push the pace, and that starts on the defensive end. Even trash. So even
when I see them do that, and I watch a lot of the Lakers, even when I see them get out in transition and push the pace, you know, it still doesn't even look good. It looks like they're discombobulated. It looks like, I mean, you can tell. I've heard speculations, and I'm sure that it's true because I've heard it a lot now, but they don't they've had the least amount of practices out of really any team. I mean, what? Yeah. It's just like, like that doesn't it doesn't make sense, man. It doesn't make sense. Yeah, and I have high hopes for them because I want to see Russ get a ring. I want to see AD get another ring. I want to see LeBron get another ring. I mean, I want to see anybody in the league get a ring, but those 3 guys I really do like. But it's just like when you don't practice, when you don't build that chemistry, you know, you're like, that's never gonna work. You know, they really look like an AAU team out there, you know?
Yeah. Sometimes they just come up when they push the pace. Sometimes it's just Malik Monk taking a quick 3. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's not like actually attacking the rim or anything. Like when LeBron though and Russ have those, when they actually rare though, when they do get out in transition, have some nice fast breaks, that's when the momentum pushes and they start making runs.
Yeah,
but,
for sure.
You know, it's been rare. They got to get stops. I mean, we'll see what happens with AD out. It's gonna be hard to get stops. But I don't want to. I'm serious. Sorry, Clipper Nation. I love you guys, but I don't want to talk about us too much. Paul George has been out. Kawhi Leonard's been out. Paul George missed the majority of the season, but Ty Lue is one of the best coaches in the league, and he gets the most out of our guys, and we have a chance. We're gonna make the plan. Like
definitely the most overachieving team in the league this year. And I know with everything going on with the Cavs, that's a lot to say, but.
Cavs and Memphis Grizzlies I think Cavs and Memphis Grizzlies, man.
Cavs and Memphis Grizzlies, yeah, for sure. But I mean, the way that the Grizzlies have been playing, their momentum leading into this year, I'm surprised for sure. Anybody's surprised, but I can honestly say I'm much more surprised with the Clippers. I mean, they had didn't you guys have, like you said, you had a 35-point comeback? You know, like that just I would not have thought. If you would have told me that one team were to have a 35-point comeback this year, I think the Clippers would have been my bottom 5 teams to do that this year.
Really, we're the comeback kings, though.
You are, but I mean, that's why you're the comeback kings, because nobody expects it.
That's true. I guess so. Let's go to the Minnesota Timberwolves, who have been a pleasant surprise. I had them as my 10th seed, but they're actually in the 7th seed, and they're running away with it. Karl Anthony Towns is having the best season of his career. Anthony Edwards is taking a nice leap forward. D'Angelo Russell, he's been in and out. I think he does help when he's there. You know, he's missed, he's played 45 games. He's missed 14 games, but Malik Beasley's played every game. Jaden McDaniels, who's started 24 games this season, has only missed 3 games. And then Anthony Edwards has only missed 6, and Karl Anthony Towns has only missed 7 games, which is huge. Absolutely huge. He's averaging 24.4 points a game to go along with 10 rebounds and 4 assists on 52% shooting and 41 from 3 after winning the 3-point shootout this weekend, staking his claim as possibly the best shooting center to ever play. Yeah. And Patrick Beverley, who my boy here really despises, will never say a good word about, has been a culture changer for this Wolves team. As everyone knows, my only issue with Bev is, would he stay healthy? And he's missed 19 games. So, it's been similar to usual, but Devin's been big when he's there. The Wolves are playing great. I don't want to spend too much time on them because they're clearly going to make the play-in. They may even make the playoffs. I'm really interested to see Karl Anthony Towns in the playoffs, because there are times where you watch that guy and he looks like he's just settling for jumpers and not fighting too hard. There are other times he looks like one of the best players in the NBA, straight up.
Yeah, no,
Anthony Edwards, I love the comments he's made at various moments this season, talking about attack quicker when you're double teamed, or be more aggressive. You get a mismatch, go post up. Well, like, you're the guy. And I love that. Kind of teammate that
Wiggins that Towns is needed.
Oh, okay.
He's definitely the kind of teammate that he's needed for sure. And I love what they're doing over there. Even the guys that are role players, Jaden McDaniels, Vanderbilt, like you said, Pat Beal.
He's been starting this season, Vanderbilt.
Yeah,
he's averaging 7.9 rebounds.
He's been flourishing. He's been good. Even those kind of guys, they're the kind of guys that Cat needs to be around, And I'm liking what they're doing over there for sure. I'm loving it. They're one of my favorite teams in the league.
Yeah, I'm happy for him, man. Anthony Edwards, 22 points a game, 5 rebounds, 3.5 assists. Yep. He has really taken a nice step forward from last season. He averaged 19 points last season, but he's on a winning team now, so it's
a little bit more better. Empty stats for you.
Hey, I like Anthony Edwards, but yes, absolutely.
That's fair. That's fair. They are. I didn't know they were 7 seed. To be honest. That's really good.
Let's talk about a team that had a really weird start to the season. Jaylen Brown missed a lot of games. Dennis Schroeder flamed out and didn't end up being anything for them, so they traded him back for getting Daniel Tice back. Robert Williams, though, a player that we talk about a lot, is a huge component to this Boston Celtic team.
Yeah.
He has struggled in the past with staying on the court, and this season he has missed 13 games. So that's a good chunk, but that's better than he's done in the past.
Not bad.
And he has started every game. He's averaging basically a double-double, 10 points, 10 rebounds, 2.2 blocks. He's a great rim protector, one of the best in the league.
Yeah.
Jason Tatum statistically is having a very good year, 26 points, 8 rebounds, 4 assists. But I've been pretty critical of Tatum, at least in the beginning of the season, taking a lot of threes. He's averaging 8 threes a game shot and 33%. So that's a lot of threes. Wasn't attacking. At his size, I always criticize him for settling too much. Al Horford's been a pleasant surprise for this team.
Yeah, for sure.
It's really all about when Time Lord, Jaylen Brown, and Jason Tatum can be healthy. It's really I'm sorry. 44.5% from 3 this year. Huge step up. They've had a problem with not having shooters. You know what I'm saying? Ime Udoka in the beginning was getting criticized a bit, but everybody seems to criticize their coach nowadays on Twitter. But
I think that's why they traded for Derek White recently and got Josh Richardson.
Big move to pick up Derek White. Their defense has been their strong suit. Marcus Smart's been playing really good basketball lately.
That's honestly very surprising to me. I did not assume their defense to be as good as they are. I think they're like a top, along with the Mavericks as well. But I think
the Mavericks are more of a surprise to me. But think of the Celtics personnel, like Marcus Smart, Josh Richardson, Dennis Schroeder can get after it. Tatum and Jaylen Brown have really good length, and then Robert Williams is a great rim protector, and Al Horford's a very intelligent defender.
Yeah, I think it's really Al Horford this year, because he provides just like a presence in the middle. Because Robert Williams, he's not huge. I think he's maybe like 6'9", maybe 6'10". But Al Horford, he's 6'9", 6'10", but he provides a presence. I think at the beginning of the season, Al Horford led the league in blocks with like 3.4 a game or something like that. And that's because you don't assume him to be a great defender, but he's sitting in that middle waiting for you every time. And with the long wings like Josh Richardson, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, you can send somebody to the rim and not really think twice about it, because you have those rim protectors there. I'm not going to lie, though. I felt like Jason Tatum has been having a very underwhelming season. Maybe that's just because he got off to a really cold start, but I had him along with Trey Young and Jokic as my early season picks for MVP. I was obviously not – well, with Jokic, I wasn't too bad, but I don't think that Trey and Jason Tatum have much of an argument there. I expected Jason Tatum to have really not a breakout year, but a MVP type year. And not to say he's not having a good year and all, but I just assumed that with the struggles that they've had with the playoffs and regular season in the past, that this might just be their year. And I don't see it being their year, but I definitely see them moving towards when I watch them. I definitely see them having some very good bright spurts.
Yeah. So the Celtics also, so Jaylen Brown has come back and he's still playing at like an all-star level when he's been back.
Yeah.
24 points a game, 6.5 rebounds. He's only played 46 games. He's missed 14. And in the game that he's played, the Celtics are 27-19. So you clearly can see the difference that he makes. So that means they're a 500 team without him. So I had them finishing 5th. Right now they're in 6th. They started out really slow. They were looking like one of the most disappointing teams of the season, but they're starting to figure it out. They're 2nd in the league in defensive rating, 3rd in opposing points per game if you prefer that. Their offense can be mediocre, and it's really all about if they're hitting shots from the outside and how Jalen and Jason Tatum do. I'm not going to predict anything about what they're going to do in the playoffs. I don't see them at most. They could win one series, but they're not getting out of the second round. I put my money on it. They could easily lose in the first round, and they could drop down into the play-in spots. Who knows? But I see them playing a series. So
I definitely do.
Let's move on to the Utah Jazz. I really don't want to spend too much time on them because I feel like they've been achieving expectations. Rudy's missed some time. Donovan's missed some time. They're a team that I think is just kind of cooked. You know, they traded Joe Ingles after he got hurt.
Yeah, I don't like that.
And I just think that they're a team that last year we saw them fall way too in love with the 3. They had a golden opportunity to make the conference finals and the championship with my Clippers, you know, with Kawhi going out, and they lost at home. Then they blew the 25-point lead where they just chucked themselves out of the game, and Rudy Gobert couldn't take advantage of a mismatch. And, you know, he's having another solid year. Donovan's having another solid year. They were both all-stars, but it's just going to be about, can they do anything bigger in the playoffs? Can they make it to the Western Conference Finals with this roster? I said no, and I'm going to stick to that. Any thoughts? 30 seconds.
I think you're right. But to be honest with you, I like the Utah Jazz and what they have going. Donovan is young for what it's worth. Rudy Gobert is fairly young. I don't like that they got rid of Joe Ingles. I feel like he was a very good complement to Donovan Mitchell. But then again, they kind of have not much of a clone, but Bogdan is a little better with the ball, a little not as good as on defense. But, obviously they have Bogdan, so that's probably, what played a little bit of part in getting rid of Joe Ingles. But I like Utah. I don't know what it is. I kind of have an underlying affinity for them. I just like the way that they mesh. I like how bought in everybody on that team is. People like Royce O'Neal. I believe
their only good perimeter defender, Royce O'Neal, for the most part.
Yeah, well, with Joe Ingles gone now, yeah, sure, for sure. I love Jordan Clarkson. I love what he's become. I never really expected him to become this 6th man of the year kind of candidate guy, but he is definitely flourishing in that role. I just like how everybody kind of is bought into the fact that this is Donovan's team, and we're going to play around him, because you can definitely see this is kind of like I feel like the Utah Jazz are what the Portland Trailblazers want to be with Dame. You know, they don't have a second superstar. They have a second all-star with Rudy Gobert. And I mean, say what you want about him. He's definitely an all-star. He's definitely one of the best defenders in the league. Definitely not one of the best all time to me, but that's a whole different conversation. But everybody's just bought in to, and they have good pieces. They have really good pieces around Donovan Mitchell. Don't get me wrong. They have Mike Conley, who was an all-star, one of probably one of the best Memphis Grizzlies ever, if not the best. And that's obviously not saying too much, but that's saying a lot to be the best of any team, or considered the best of any team. And to have him as a role player, on that team to complement Donovan Mitchell. And I think he does so very well, because he's a much better passer than Donovan, historically at least.
Let's go with the Denver Nuggets, though. Yeah. Who it's really, I don't want to spend too much time on them because it's the Jokic show. I had them finishing, I believe, 4th actually. But Michael Porter Jr. getting injured for the season and after game 9 was something I did not expect. So the fact that they're still in 6th place, given that Nikola Jokic's second leading scorer on his team is Will Barton, averaging 15. He's a good scorer. And then Aaron Gordon and Will Barton and Monty Morris and Jokic have all played 50-plus games, which is great, and that's part of the reason why they've been able to do as well as they have. But it's really just Jokic being arguably the best player in the NBA now. I don't know how you feel about that. I don't personally have him there yet. He has a chance to prove it to us in the playoffs. 26 points, 14 rebounds, 8 assists on 57% shooting and 37 from 3.
That doesn't sound real.
All the advanced stats, I know people that are into those. It's just insane in his favor. Is he the 2-time MVP? He's who I consider him the best center since Shaquille O'Neal, the best center of my time watching basketball. He's so unique.
Yeah.
But will Jamal Murray come back is a big question. my question is Jokic your MVP? Because, I mean, there's not much else to say about these guys, right?
Yeah, there's really not. I mean, like you said, you covered it already. Their role players have been great. Monty Morris, Will Barton.
Austin Rivers not been bad, you know?
Austin Rivers has definitely not been bad. I've always been a fan of his. But to answer your question, I don't know. I don't know. I really want to say so because his next two best players, probably the only person in the league that can say this, have been hurt for, God knows how long. And he's been doing it. And they've won some very close games. I've seen a lot. I probably have seen the most buzzer beaters positively from the Nuggets more than any other team this season from what I've watched. And I've watched some really good games. There are some teams that really are in it every game. I know we mentioned the Pacers earlier, but I mean, the fact that Jokic is pulling it out with, the personnel he has, which is very subpar for, I mean, maybe not a 6 seed, but, for the Nuggets, what we expected them to have. I think he's my front runner as of right now. But then I feel like I'm being so disrespectful to people like DeRozan and Giannis and KD, even though KD's been hurt. Even LeBron, LeBron, I guess I wouldn't put LeBron in that category anymore. Even Ja, I'd say Ja. People like that, because they are doing it, but they're just doing it with more, right now. They're just doing it with more, and I just feel like the fact that Jokic is doing it with less really does give him a good shot at it, a two-time MVP. And he's definitely, I agree with you, the best center since Shaq. And I mean, I don't know, man. The stuff that he does, man, I want to say that I know this is going to be a hot take, but I think that Jokic has a very, very strong case to be able to become, if not the best, then at least a top 5 center of all time, man. I think he's on his way. I think
top 5 is hard though, man. It's very sacred.
It is.
It's probably of any position, I think center is the hardest because you got to have Hakeem, Shaq, Russell, Wilt, and Kareem. It's like
for sure,
it's a tough one.
For sure.
But let's go to the Mavs though, who have had a surprisingly better season than expected, given Porzingis just was so injury prone. They decided to just move on from him entirely. They were like, you know what? This is not working out. He's not the second guy we thought he was. I've been in spaces with Mavs fans, been talking to me about that they've given up on any chance of him taking advantage of mismatches and posting up and any of that nature. So he's just a tall shooter, and they just cleared his contract off the books. The bad thing is Tim Hardaway Jr., who was playing a 6-man role, fractured his foot. He's out for the year. But what's really kept the Mavericks in these games and winning and having him as the 5th seed right now, which is exactly where I predicted them, the same as last season, 2 things. The ascendancy of Jalen Brunson, 16.3 points a game, 5.4 assists on 50% shooting and 37 from 3. And then the defense. Jason Kidd has brought a more defensive approach. The team is bought in. Luka Doncic is being Luka Doncic, one of the, in my opinion, 7 best players in the league. He's actually missed 14 games this season, or 15 games this season, 27.5 points a game, 9 rebounds, 9 assists for.
I didn't know he was having that good of a statistical year. I'm not gonna lie.
Man, yeah.
When I watched him, he definitely does. But damn, that's actually really good.
Yo, and listen to the record. Listen to the record when Luka plays 29-15. That means that they're 6-9 when he doesn't play, and then they are, in terms of defensive rating, they are 5th in the league, top 5 in the league, and 2nd in opposing points. So their defense was their weakness. Now it seems like it's gotten big. My question to you is, man, are they going to win a playoff series this year without Porzingis? And I know it all depends on who they play.
They're the what seed right now?
If the playoffs started today, they would be playing against the Utah Jazz in round 1. It'll be a very interesting series. Finally, Kawhi's not going to play against them.
Any series with Doncic and not the Clippers is going to be interesting this year.
Right, I agree.
It just sucks for him, that he's ran into you guys so often. But I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't think it would be much better if he played the Jazz today. I don't think it would be much better if he played the Nuggets. I think he might have a chance against the Grizzlies if somehow, some way he makes it up, or it falls down to the 6th, or the Grizzlies fall down to the 4th. I think that he has a better shot at the Grizzlies, not as experienced playoff team as the Nuggets or the Jazz, because we all know how that series went. They both know how to win in a playoff game, in a playoff series. They've played in Game 7s, obviously with all their players being healthy. But I just don't know if. Well, we'll talk about that when we get to the Grizzlies. But I think it's possible that the Dallas win if Luka goes crazy like he did against you guys, you know, I think he definitely has a chance at getting to the second round. I think
he'll go crazy. I think it's really about how much we're going to see from Brunson. Can he really be that second guy, second best player on a team that makes it out of the first round? Like,
yeah, I think he could. I think he could. From when I've seen him play, he gives me very much. He's very much like Fred VanVleet when I watch him play. He's very calm.
Good in the pick and roll. He can finish.
Yeah, he's very good in the pick and roll. He's a small guard but can finish. He shoots only that he knows he's going to make, which is very important when you're playing with somebody like Luka, who is very ball dominant. And he's going to get you the ball when you get the ball, you know. But I think Jalen Brunson he definitely has solidified himself as a good enough player to win a playoff series as the second best player. Okay. I think, to be honest with you, he is a better second option than anybody on the Jazz. And
really, I mean, I guess scoring option. It wouldn't be
scoring option. Yeah, I guess Bogdanovich in his hands than somebody. I mean, who's the second best on the Jazz?
It's either Bogdanovich or
Bogdanovich. Yeah, Conley or Bogdanovich. You know, I'd rather have the ball in Brunson's hands. And then to go even further, I want to say he's probably a second better option than anybody on. Well, maybe not, because I forgot about. Okay, guard wise, like I'd rather have the ball in your hands at the top of the key. Than the Grizzlies. I think that he's better than Dillon Brooks when they're both playing at as good as they can play. I think that Jalen Brunson is slightly better than Dillon Brooks. I think that he's slightly better than he's better than Melton. But I don't know if he's better than Jaren Jackson as a scorer. I wouldn't go that far as to say that yet. But I definitely do believe that that Jalen Brunson has solidified himself. When I watch him play, he has that it factor, you know, like he has that little guard mentality, you know.
Let's talk about the Philadelphia 76ers, who are having an overachieving season completely. Ben Simmons was finally shipped out. I honestly don't want to talk too much about the Harden stuff yet.
Yeah, for sure.
With the Sixers, I don't want to, like, obviously we're going to see how it works out. And like, we've talked about that. Like we have to see, that's all we're going to have to say with Harden. We can sit here all day and predict what it's going to happen, but I think it's a win for them, right? Get Harden for Ben Simmons.
I think so. I think so. Yeah, just to say the least.
It's been all about, we got to give Embiid his flowers, man. He's been my MVP so far this season. He has been unbelievable. A point to prove. Tyrese Maxey has come in and taken that point guard role. 17 points a game. Asher talked about him in the preview about how he's a future star, and he's not looking too off right now in terms of on that trajectory at 21 years old. 17 points, 4.6 assists. Tobias has been Tobias, 19 points. 48%. I'm guessing you guys have probably asked him to shoot a little bit more. I think
Tobias had a chance in the All-Star game, to be honest. I think he's been playing pretty good this year.
Yeah, but then Embiid, 29.6 points a game, 11 rebounds, 49.5% from the field, and a career high, I believe, 37%.
I hate how
last year he shot 38. Okay.
What'd you say? My bad.
What? No, I said he's shooting only 1% lower from three than last year, which was a career high, but second best percentage of his career. He's having the best year of his career. I think he should win MVP.
No, for sure. I see him sometimes, and I know you're really big on this. And so I think of you sometimes when I'm watching the 76ers, but he definitely is one of the big men that shoot a lot of threes, and they're not all questionable, but I would say some of them are questionable, but between him and Cat, they definitely shoot the most threes that are questionable to me. But I mean, when you're shooting that good as a big man who's 7 feet, you know, that can only be a positive for your game. And so I really hate the fact that, you know, other big men like Giannis and Jokic have been dominating the league just like he has and have won the MVPs, because we didn't see those two guys this past 2 years. I think Joel Embiid is the clear-cut second place man, you know, out of the past two MVPs. And even this year, you know, if he's not the favorite, he's definitely 1A, 1-2. I mean, 1A, 1B, 1C. You know, right there with the best of them this year. Like you said, he's having a great year. He's a great talent. I mean, I know a lot of people don't like hearing, you know, him say that, you know, I emulate myself after Kobe and Jordan. But, you know, sometimes I do watch him, and he does for a 7 foot, 280-pound man. I mean, when I just think of people who are 7 feet, 280 pounds, I think of Steven Adams, Andre Drummond, Jonas Valentinis, you know, people who do not have the same footwork and agility as him. And he started playing basketball at a young age, you know, for him to be able to develop that kind of footwork.
You mean old age?
Yeah, I think he started playing at like 15 or 16 or something like that.
No, he's I know it's, you know, it's similar to his favorite player, Hakeem.
Yeah,
Started
yeah,
playing well late.
so exactly.
Yeah, he's definitely got to be. I mean, he's definitely got to be the next best, respect to Manute Bol and those guys. But he's definitely the second best African player of all time. There's no doubt.
Yeah, for sure.
So I think the Sixers, I hate them because of Glenn Rivers. It's going to be, we literally can't predict what they're going to do in the playoffs because we need to watch what happens with Harden now. It's going to be very interesting.
I think that's going to be a sick combo, man. Just to say the least, I think it's going to be nasty. And I think that Joel Embiid is actually singing to the gods right now that Ben Simmons is gone because of the way that Maxey is playing, man. Yeah, because of that too. But Maxey is just out of he's been covering the load. Like when I watched him play, I used last year. I compared him and Quickly together. Like they've had similar games to me.
Maxey has clearly surpassed him, huh?
That's what I was gonna say. I think Maxey has taken that level. I mean, obviously with Ben Simmons being out, he had to step it up a little bit, but I think he has definitely stepped up to the plate as much as anybody has this year to fulfill a role.
I agree. He's been awesome. No Seth Curry anymore, so we'll see how that goes. How much they're gonna miss his shooting. Memphis Grizzlies, though, now, man, I was dead wrong about them. Although I did say they could finish higher than I expected. I had them finishing around the 9, 8, 7 spots, but man, oh man, 3 seed Memphis Grizzlies, the surprise of the season. Taylor Jenkins being talked about in Coach of the Year talk.
Oh, for sure.
41 and 9.
If he doesn't win it, I don't know anybody else that will.
Dylan Brooks has missed a lot of games. He only played 21 games this season, but it's really been, 3 guys in particular for me that have just been unbelievable. Jaren Jackson Jr. is having the season of his career. He's only shooting 32% from 3, and I think he sometimes gets too in love with it. But when I watch him this season, he's been hitting it. But really, he's also been aggressive going to the rim. He's averaging 17 points a game this season. But where I'm most impressed with him has been defensively. The size that the Grizzlies have, he's been able to play the 5 and the 4. His rim protection's been amazing. He's been everywhere when we've played him this season. They've swept us this season. My team is the Clippers. And he's played 59 games out of 60. So that's one guy that's been huge. I think he should definitely be on a defensive team. And then Desmond Bain. Asher talked about it and go back and watch what he said in the preview.
Who is that guy,
Literally,
man? Who is this guy?
On what he said about Desmond Bain in the preview, from the talking trash to the deep range to the strength. I mean, Desmond Bain has
Where did he come from? I mean,
18 points, 4.5 rebounds, 46% from the field, and 42% from 3. And then even despite having this guy out, they still won games, which is a testament to Bain, Tyus Jones, Kyle Anderson, DeAnthony Melton, all of them.
Jaren Jackson.
A top 10 player in the league this season. He has put his name up with Luka and Trey Young, and that is Ja Morant. 27 points a night, 6 rebounds, 7 assists on 49.5% shooting. And he is the closest thing in terms of explosion that I have seen from the point guard position in terms of explosion and IQ since Derrick Rose. And he's having an MVP caliber season. Give me your thoughts on everything I just said, man.
First of all, I guess just to back up a little bit, who in the world is Desmond Bain, man, and why is he playing out of his mind? I mean, every time I watched him, even I know there was one day. It was like some weird stat he had. He shot something for some. It was like 2 for 18 and shot 29. It was some weird stat, whatever. Even that game I watched him, I couldn't tell that he was having a bad game. Because he's one of those people that just play his heart out, man. He plays it. He plays his heart out, and on top of that, he's a dog. Like he will really get in your chest, in your face, in your ear. And
talking to LeBron James, man, up 20.
Like LeBron James. He's one of 2 people this year that have challenged LeBron James, and we already know who the other one is. We know how that ended up, but not as good as it did for Desmond Bain. But yeah, man, it's just like, who is this guy and where did he come from? I mean, every time I watch them, it's just like things he does on the court. His shot is so unorthodox, and he's a stocky, short guard, and he doesn't look like he's as fast as he is. He looks like he should be playing football. No disrespect to him at all.
That's literally what Asher said. I think he looks like it looks like a linebacker or something.
He is literally, he's probably the exact same size as a linebacker, or like a running back or something like that, and for him to be coming out here, man, and just doing the things that he does, he's definitely, honestly, they probably have 2 to 3 people on that team that could go for most improved, and he is definitely one of them, just to say the least.
So give me your John Morant though propaganda here.
You know,
we have a friend that's been really skeptical of John Morant. He thinks that he's not going to play well in the playoffs just because he doesn't have the experience. He did get some experience last year in the 5-game series versus Utah. Yeah. But this year, the Memphis Grizzlies are going to have expectations to win a playoff series.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think unfortunately for them, they have expectations because nobody really. I mean, even for like Devin Booker last year in his first playoffs, nobody expected them to go to the finals, and put up a fight like they did. Granted, he has Chris Paul on his team, and that's definitely a positive. But they didn't have expectations like the Memphis Grizzlies do right now, and they were a higher seed.
When the Suns, I would say when the Suns were the 2nd seed, I think people thought they could make it out of the 1st or 2nd round.
No, for sure, 1st or 2nd round, but. They exceeded. I guess they just exceeded expectations for sure.
Yeah, it's just partially because also the road opened up for them with because everybody was still putting LA on a pedestal in terms of it was Utah and Suns as the challengers, but it seemed like everybody was still going with Lakers Clippers. But regardless, give me your thoughts on Ja before we move on to the next.
Yeah, team. I think he's a hell of a player, man. I honestly, the words do not describe what that man does on that court, between you could take away his athleticism, man, and just his IQ moving at the speed that he does, being able to contort and twist his body and
people are going over the shots. He's making people go over the screens now because he's been shooting the 3-ball better as well.
I was to get to that. He's so smart. He takes shots that he knows he's going to make now, and he's confident in them. I think the big difference between this year and last year, not to say that he's never had any, but it's his confidence, man. He's going at people with no regards for their life. He's going at people with to kill, And last year he was going at people because he knew he could. It felt like, at least. And this year he's going at people because he knows they're scared. Let's just be real. I mean, the people are scared of Ja like they were Derrick Rose, Russell Westbrook, people of Allen Iverson. They're scared of him at this point. He's an all-star. He was great in the all-star game. Just to say the least, I just think he's been phenomenal as a player this year. There's not much you can really say about him other than that. There's really no downfall to his game this year. I mean, I haven't really – I've watched the Grizzlies enough, but I haven't seen any downfall to his defense. He's athletic. He's long. He's definitely got the hunger. And I think those 3 things, if you mix them right together, especially with the coaching staff that he's around, his defense will only skyrocket from here. I could even see him having an all-defensive year, leading the league in steals, just the way that the Memphis Grizzlies play. I can see a year like that for him in the next 3 to 5 years. And along with playing alongside Dillon Brooks and Desmond Bain, those are 2 great defensive guards that nobody really talks about because they're just playing out their mind. Everybody assumes that it's offense, but
they're the first team that we've come across that are top 10 in both offensive and defensive rating this season.
I didn't even know that. So that speaks volumes.
It'll be very interesting to see him in the playoffs, regardless of even if they disappoint slightly by losing in the first round. I'd say that it's still a successful season regardless. This team has taken massive steps, and I think it's going to take a really good team or an amazing performance by a Jokic or a Luka to beat them in a series. I think they're a well-rounded team, but let's move on to the the Milwaukee Bucks right now sit in 5th place in the East, but they're only they're only 1 game back in the loss column from the 3 seed and then 3 games in the loss column from the 1 seed. So we can still see the Bucks get the 1 seed. I had them as my 1 seed. When Middleton, Holiday, and Giannis have all played, they've been one of the best teams in the league. Yep. They've had some problems with that. Obviously, they lost PJ Tucker, which was a big loss, in my opinion.
Huge.
But Giannis has just continued to make strides in his game. He's been more comfortable with the jump shot. He looked like he's improved in the post. And this could be the year in the playoffs where he really stakes his claim as the best player in the world consensus, the way LeBron had it, the way I felt Kobe had it in the late 2000s. But it really feels like it could be that way because the way he affects the game on both ends, and there is nobody a star hungrier than him. A super like Chris Paul's really hungry for a ring, but Giannis, attacks, as well. But Giannis, I guess, is just so.
No, Giannis is a different level for sure.
He attacks the basket as hard as anybody I've seen since probably Diesel. Like the way he just dunks at the end, and he takes advantage of every mismatch. That's a big thing I talk about in today's NBA. And he didn't have the most skilled post game, but
it's getting there though.
Post game, it's getting better each year. but he just gets to he's where he posts up from, like his positioning, he gets deep. You know what I'm saying? And that's a big thing a lot of people aren't willing to work for all the time. So I think that Giannis generating easy baskets, and then the whole team plays good defense. They're literally the same team as last year, basically. Bobby Portis has been great in the absence of Brook Lopez. And
they haven't had Jonte DiVincenzo this year, I don't think, either.
And they have as good but Connaughton's been great. And they have as good a chance of winning the championship to me as any team in the NBA. I don't want to keep it too long because we know who the Bucks are, but give me your thoughts on them.
I just want to say, when I watch the Bucks, and I have been watching them a lot more recently, ever since they've had their trio back. I think the one thing that plays to Giannis's advantage more than any star in the league, besides maybe Ja, is his humbleness on the court. You know, because most stars, they're like, when they're down or when their team is losing, you know, they think, okay, I got to take over. I got to score. I got to do this. I got to do that. But when I watch the Bucks, Giannis, I'm not going to say he sits back and, you know, lets everything around him formulate. And then he, you know, attacks when people least expect it. But I just think the fact that he's able to not rush himself into, okay, I need to score this. I need to do this. I need to take these dumb shots. I think that's one thing that he has definitely improved in over the past years, because there's games where I'll see the Bucks losing, you know, by 13 early, and I'll start tuning in, and then it's the Chris Middleton show, or it's the Jrue Holiday show, and then Giannis is just sitting back, you know, defending the best player, playing the best defense he can, rebounding, scoring, putting his players in the best position that he can put them in. And I think that, I mean, not to say obviously I think he's averaging the most points in the league right now. So obviously, you know, that's not.
I think it was Embiid.
I think Giannis had a 50-point game before All-Star break that put him over, but you might be right. But yeah, anyways, regardless, he's top 3 in the league. He's been top 3 in the league in scoring and for, you know, however long. And I don't even think that's the best part of his game. I mean, obviously defense, you know, would probably be the next best option. But I think just the fact that he's able to be a superstar without being overly aggressive at times. You know, if anything, he's overly aggressive to me, because when I watch, he could do what he does all game. I mean, let's be real. He has a mismatch.
I have noticed that. I was going to say, I have noticed that too this season, man, is that he's been a little bit more let guys eat first portion and then take over in certain stretches. But that's the mastery of when you get – that's what the GOATs did. That's literally what the GOATs did when they figured it out. So Giannis, I mean, he's reaching a level now where we're approaching his prime, and he's a special player. We're going to see what he does in the postseason. We're going to see if Brook Lopez can come back. He's out indefinitely.
Yeah, I forgot they don't even have Brook Lopez. I totally forgot about that, and he's huge. As much as people don't want to think it, he's huge.
Yeah, so we'll see how they do. I still think the Bucks are going to climb the standings a bit more. They're not going to finish in 5th. They're going to definitely get home court. I have no doubt in my mind about that.
It's the Cavs, Nets, or no, not Nets.
No, Sixers, Cavs, Bulls, and
Bulls.
Yeah. Okay. So to answer your question about the points, Joel Embiid's leading the league 29.6, but Giannis 29.4, so he's only 0.2 behind him.
Okay.
So let's go to the Cleveland Cavaliers, who have been a huge surprise, absolutely probably the biggest in the entire league. The Grizzlies, I could see something like this happening, but the Cavs, you know, Colin Sexton went down, and they were already playing good basketball, but Darius Garland was unleashed. He made the All-Star team here in his 3rd year. Jarrett Allen has been incredible. He made the All-Star team. I love Evan Mobley. He's great on defense, and they deployed 3 7-footers, as you saw in my vlog, one of the very first ones against the Clippers. They beat the hell out of us with Lauri Markkanen starting at the 3 alongside Evan Mobley and Jared Allen. And they were letting Markkanen get away with hand checking on PG. And that's another thing, you know, this season, the officiating, you know, especially in the beginning of the season, was much more lenient, you know, more hand checking not called, and a lot of people getting hammered at the rim and not much getting called. And obviously the non-basketball moves they've tried to eliminate. I think that they've slowly returned to somewhat close to the old, but not fully. I still think the games are being officiated better than the last 5-6 years. The thing is, you can turn on one game and it's like, you know, similar to the last couple of years. And then you turn on another game and it's like they're not calling anything.
Completely opposite.
It's weird. So you know, in the playoffs, they're not going to call as much. Nowadays, they actually call the least amount of fouls as ever, believe it or not. But that's a lot of reason because people don't, go to the basket every single play as much, and you know,
people aren't getting fouled as much.
Exactly. The people aren't playing one-on-one defense as much either, where, guys going at you one-on-one. It's mostly pick and roll, drive and kick, attack space. So, you got to look past just the basic stats with officiating. But when the Cavs are being allowed to do that with 3 7-footers out there, even when they're not, it has been a pleasant surprise in a league of small ball. They've been awesome.
Yeah.
JB Bickerstaff is definitely in contention for Coach of the Year as well. Give me your thoughts on this team, because they've been absolutely killing it. They look like they're going to make the playoffs for the first time in my life without LeBron James.
Yeah.
And it's just been unbelievable. And Kevin Love has come off the bench, and he's been as healthy as can be. I saw an interview with him where he said he's felt as healthy as he has in years. He's accepted he's going to come off the bench now. He's here to stay, and he's helping out these guys. And what a team it's been so far.
Yeah. I mean, where do you start with this team? It's first of all, I heard you briefly mention it earlier. When Colin Sexton went down, man, it was like, you think it's over. You think, they were having a good year at that point, but I think that honestly they've had a better year since he's gone down. For what reason, I don't know. Maybe it's because they've been able to implement.
I think it's because they let Garland go, man. They just let him.
That too. But I think it's because they've been able to implement the 7-foot lineup even more. And the way that those 3 7-footers play together, I love it, because Jared Allen is obviously not as much of an awesome offensive threat as the other two. And then I think Evan Mobley is right in the middle. I think he's got a little bit of post game. He can hit a 3 or 2. He's not going to take any shots that are out of his range. And then Markkanen is just a shooter. He's I mean, we all know what Markkanen brings to the table. It's great.
Ricky Rubio was having a great season before he got hurt, man.
Who?
Ricky Rubio was having a really solid season.
I forgot about Ricky Rubio too. He was definitely an immense help to that team before, he was forgotten about because of his injury. Not forgotten about, but, he was taken out of the picture because of injury. And I don't even think he's on the Cavs anymore.
Yeah, he's not. But that's another thing. They brought in Karis LeVert. I think that's partially because they're going to let Colin Sexton go in the offseason, or either trade him.
I hope not. I don't know. That's tough. I hope
I think they build around Garland.
I know that you might be right, because Lauri Markkanen does not want to come off the bench. I remember hearing that in the offseason, and he went somewhere that he could be a little bit more of a presence than the Bulls. And so I know that Karis LeVert and Colin Sexton would probably more than likely want to start. And so that either leaves, Mobley, Markkanen, or Jared Allen on the bench. And I don't see
No, I was going to say, I just think they realized that it's the similar thing to the Kings, man. They drafted 2 guys that were initially listed as point guards in the draft. And, because they told them to take the best available player, but it's turning out that it's better to let one of them just flock and let him just fly. And that's Darius Garland, who is a better passer than Sexton.
Yeah, no, for sure. For sure. And I mean, to be quite honest, he's a better shooter too.
Yeah, 20 points, 8. Well, is he actually? I know from 3. But
I honestly wasn't watching the Cavs when Colin Sexton was playing. Obviously, because there was a small sample size this year, and the year before they weren't all that. But I mean, I've seen Darius Garland, man. He has some Trey-like moments out there.
Yeah, definitely. And he's shooting 38% from 3. Kevin Love 39% as well.
Too. It's quick. Colin Sexton has more of a set shot. He shoots it from the side of his head a little bit.
Yeah,
it's a little bit easier to defend. But Garland, he's just quick, just right there in front of your face.
35 and 23.
Yeah, I can see that. But Chetty Osman, man. I mean, if you ever get a chance to watch the Cavs and you see that offense flowing, I think that you'll see Chetty Osman having a really big part to play in that, because he does a little bit of everything. I mean, as much as he might not look like it, he definitely is a good passer. He's a great shooter. He's a good ball handler for his size, and obviously not being as athletic as the rest of the league, the majority of the league. So I like Chetty Osman. I think he's a sleeper in the league. I think he's going to be something good. Never not an all-star or all-NBA player or anything like that. But I think him and Kevin Love has been carrying that bench, especially ever since Colin and Ricky Rubio went down. So it's definitely one thing that I've noticed from the Cavs.
And going to be so exciting to see them. If they can lock in a playoff spot, to see them play in a series without LeBron would be awesome. But let's go to the Heat, who have been even better than expectations, despite all the injuries they've had and COVID issues they've had. They're number 1 in the East right now, tied with the Bulls, who we'll get to at the end. 38 and 21. That's 59 games played. Duncan Robinson's played 56 games, but Kyle Lowry's missed 13 games. Jimmy Butler has missed 19 games. Yeah, 19 games. Bam Adebayo has missed 25 games. Yet they still find themselves number one. Eric Spoelstra definitely should be in Coach of the Year talks. PJ Tucker has obviously been a good help to that team.
Yeah.
Gabe Vincent, he had a game against the Clippers where he went off.
I love
37% shooting threes this season for him, 9 points a game. Max Strus is averaging 11 points this season.
Omer used to be, whatever his name is, too.
He's been averaging 6 and 6. I think he's a rookie, right?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, rookie from Turkey.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't think he went to college though. Yeah, for sure.
Caleb Martin is averaging 9.5 points. So they've had so many moving parts. Dwayne Dedmon started some games. Yurtseven started some games with Bam out.
Yeah.
Kyle Lowry has obviously helped this team out. 13 points, 4.5 rebounds, 8 assists, just plays the right way. Jimmy Butler, 22 points, 6 rebounds, 6 assists when he plays. Bam Adebayo, 18 points and 10 rebounds. So he's continuing to get better. Will he be hitting his mid-range consistently in the playoffs? We'll see. Will Jimmy Butler play like the bubble version, or will he play more like last year? Obviously, having Kyle Lowry there will help. Are these guys a real championship contender, man?
I don't want to disrespect them at all, because day in and day out for the past few years, they have proved themselves. As has Jimmy Butler. He's proved himself really wherever he's gone. But I mean, it's just something about the Heat.
Do you think they just lack that number one? Like they don't. Do they have the best players?
They lack that number one team kind of vibe, that morale that I get from all the I can't even see them, honestly, as much mess as I've talked about the Grizzlies in the playoffs. I don't even see them beating a team like the Grizzlies in the playoffs, let alone
Well, that have to be the finals for that.
Yeah, obviously, but
really, man, I think the Heat are really good. I just think I think they have that culture and they play well together and they're super organized.
For sure.
I think their only problem is for winning a championship is I love Jimmy Butler, man, but I just don't think he's that guy, to be the best part of the championship team. I just think
honestly, if they ended up somehow, some way making it and let alone winning the championship, I think that would be the biggest epitome of defenseless championships.
Yeah,
since I can remember, because I don't see their offense flourishing like that enough to beat some of the better teams in the league. But honestly, I can see their defense, because across the board, people like Max Strus, like you mentioned, Caleb Martin, Omer Yurtseven, Jimmy Butler, obviously, PJ Tucker. You go across the board,
Bam
really.
Bam Adebayo is great.
Bam Adebayo. You go across the board, everybody that plays on that team, besides obviously Tyler Hero and Duncan Robinson, are exceptional defenders. I mean,
he holds his own.
Yeah, Kyle Lowry he's always been a great defender. I think he leads between him and Blake Griffin. They lead the league in charges, and Marcus Smart. They lead the league in charges consistently. And I mean, people don't really understand how much a charge really means, or defensively how much it means. But if you're able to get in front of somebody at 6'1", and take that to the chest every time, confidently and consistently. That's a huge, not even defensively good, but for motivation purposes, that's great, for a team. That's kind of stuff that doesn't add up on the stat sheet, So Kyle Lowry is definitely a great addition to that team. He's been much better than I ever assumed. I was never big on Kyle Lowry. I mean, he went and got his championship, and there's nothing negative you can really say about the man now. But yeah, I think he's definitely been a great addition to the team. I think PJ Tucker has definitely been a great addition to the team. I don't know how he's been able to stay so consistent with his three-point shooting, but I mean, he just sticks to what he knows he's great at. And I think he's led the league in corner three-point shooting for the past, 2-3 years, ever since dating back to the Rockets on the ride. I remember
45% from three this year. That's
he's just insane. It kind of makes no sense, because it's not the kind of player I remember him being, way back when on the Suns or early years in the Rockets. So, but I'm glad to see they're doing good. I'm glad to see that, honestly, that their bubble run wasn't a fluke, put it that way, because I don't like that kind of talk. If a team makes a championship, I don't like hearing, oh, they weren't a championship team, or, oh, that year was a fluke, or, oh, this, oh, that, they're a championship team. They made it there. They beat some good teams. And, they put in the work, they put in the effort that everybody else has, and it's showing. They're a number one seed in the East. Even with all the injuries, they've been phenomenal. So
yeah,
I'm excited to see them in the playoffs this year. I just don't have high hopes, to be honest.
Yeah, the top 10 in both offensive and defensive ratings, 7th in offense, 6th in defense. It says they play the last in pace. They play the slowest pace in the league, apparently, which is interesting.
I can see that. I mean, who would get on that team and run?
Yeah, I guess Jimmy Butler, like and Bam. But like, anyway, let's go to the team that's probably been the biggest surprise besides the Cavs in the entire East, and that's the Bulls, who have been, and it's mainly because, I mean, we knew what Zach LaVine was going to be, and I think he's going to be, I think that he can be a liability on defense sometimes around the rim, and he's just a little bit slow-footed, but we know Vooch, I know he had a slow start to the season, but he's averaging 18 and 12 right now. Lonzo Ball, before he got injured, him and Caruso, Caruso was taken out by Grayson Allen. He's going to be reevaluated in 6 to 8 weeks. That was as of January 22nd. And then Lonzo had surgery on his left knee, and it said he was going to return in 6 to 8 weeks. That was as of January 20th. Patrick Williams, he was injured very early into the season, and was supposed to be out for the entire year, but it says he could return before the end of the regular season. Yeah. They've had some injury problems, but the main reason, Lonzo was great. Their defense has been very good. I guess in the beginning of the season it was. Now it's 20th of 30 in defensive rating and 18th.
Yeah, I'm about to say they lost some good defensive pieces, man. I've been watching.
Yeah, Lonzo and Caruso being out probably hurt, and Patrick Williams.
Yeah, Patrick Williams too.
Yeah, but third in offensive rating, and I think the biggest reason why that we didn't expect a resurgence.
Yeah,
and best season of his career for 32-year-old DeMar DeRozan.
By far.
Missed only 4 games this season, averaging 28 points a game, which is third in the league, to go along with 5 rebounds, 5 assists. It's almost like he took everything from San Antonio in terms of playmaking and got that Toronto-like mid-range and pep in his step scoring back with even more confidence and experience than he's ever had.
Yeah, no, for sure. I'm honestly most surprised at the fact that he came and, from the jump, he took this team over. And honestly, I still, to this day, it might be a hot take, flame me if you want, but I still think that Zach LaVine is a better player.
I do. I still think it's Zach's team. I think that's one of the biggest things we got to give Zach credit for, man. He's let DeRozan eat.
Yeah, no, because, every time I watch them play, I forget Zach's on the court sometimes. I'm not going to lie. I forget that Zach is out there. I look to the bench to see if he's there, and then I look and see that DeRozan just passing the ball just to get it right back. It makes no sense because, obviously we're used to Zach, ever since, the Timberwolves. That the Bulls have been his team. He's been one of the better shooting guards in the league, if not, one of the best. And so for DeRozan to just come in this year and just had, like you said, have a resurgence and just take it by the throat, this team, and just, take them to the top. Literally, they're number 1 seed. I'm honestly just as surprised as that as at anything else in the league. I'm not surprised at DeRozan being great. Don't get me wrong. He's a great player. He's always been a great player. He's been overshined by, some other stars in the league. Hasn't had as much playoff success as, everybody would think. He's been to the conference finals, but that, in the East where, we don't need to talk about that too much. But
the crazy thing is, this is his highest scoring season of his entire career. Like, it's insane.
I don't think he's probably never broken 25, 26 points per game.
No, he averaged 27.3 in 2017.
Okay.
But the most impressive thing to me, in the beginning of the season, it looked like he was benefiting off the spacing of, like, being able to go one-on-one, and nobody was – not too many people were zeroing in on him. They were staying home to Lonzo and Vooch, because everybody was being able to shoot. Pat Williams, Vucevic, and LaVine, and he was just going one-on-one, no doubles or anything, or no loading up. And I was like, man, he's got a contested mid-range. He doesn't have to go to the teeth of the defense. And when you got a contested mid-range, man, like, I don't think that – and now there's a big thing about DeRozan about is he going to be able to do it in the playoffs? He always does this. He always chokes. And this is the biggest difference, is now he's got a guy like Zach, who we're arguing who the best player on the team is. And I think what we're going to find out, and the distinction will come, who's going to get the ball at the end of playoff games, who's going to close.
I'm telling you right now, it's going to be DeRozan. I every time I watch, like I said, I forget Zach's on the court sometimes, man. And part of that reason is obviously because DeRozan does get hot, and when he gets hot, he gets hot. He does not miss. It's the craziest thing I've seen from Scottie.
Props to Zach for letting him take the spotlight. You know what I mean?
For sure.
I guess. So if what you're saying, it looks like just with the way that the season DeRozan has had, it would kind of be maybe a little bit, I don't want to say disrespectful because it's his team, for LaVine to come in and say, yo, in the playoffs, though, it's going to be my show at the end of the game. Because DeRozan's hit game winners this year, multiple.
I think that's just up to them to fill it out, you know?
Yeah, and that's what the best players do, man. And the fact
I think it is. I think it is.
They have 2 closers. And
Two,
another guy that we need to talk about is the rookie, Ayo Dosunmu, man. He plays with a lot of passion. He's good in transition. He can finish. And
I just don't like the fact that they have him and Kobe White. I feel like they're very similar in games. I think Ayo is just a rookie version of Kobe.
Ayo can play a little bit more off the ball, but I have to watch a little bit.
Yeah, no, for sure he can. But I don't know. I don't really see. I don't know. I mean, it's working. They're the number 1 seed, and there's not really much to complain about.
Dude, Zach is still averaging 24.6 points, 5 rebounds, 4.5 assists.
Zach is having a great year. He's an all-star.
40% shooting and 40% from 3. Yeah, I know. And Zach's missed games this season. That's also hurt him. He's missed 12 games. But if the Bulls, Billy Donovan also should get some consideration for Coach of the Year with how many injuries that they've had and been able to sustain this. And DeRozan is
shooting. Number 1. I mean, they're number 1 in the East. I mean, that's.
And DeRozan was going to sacrifice shot attempts in San Antonio. That's the thing. Everybody sacrifices their stats in San Antonio, and maybe we didn't realize that he was giving up more stats than he could still show us. He only averaged 21 points last year, but he probably still could average 25. He took 2 or 3 more shots. So
I think, to be honest, what it is with the Bulls from when I watch is even when DeRozan is at his hottest, even when he's hitting all these shots, these game winners, whatever it is, you can't really double him as much as he's ever been able to be doubled in his life. The fact that he can't get doubled, he's not even – honestly, when I watch, he doesn't even get all the way to the rim. He just backs him down, gets to a spot on some Kobe, Jordan stuff, and just does what he does, man. And you can tell that he has been practicing his mid-range over the past few years. You can tell that he's working on these shots that he's taking, pump faking in front of people 3 times, pump fake, pivot, pump fake, fade away, and one. Like you can tell he's practicing that, and you can tell that people on his team know that because they're giving it to him. They're giving the green light. They're spacing out, and like I said, they usually. I mean, now that Caruso's gone, Dosunmu, Ayo, and Kobe White have really taken over Alex Caruso's minutes, and even they can shoot, and handle the ball. I wouldn't say that go as far as to say that they can, create their own shot on a consistent basis, Kobe more than Ayo, but I definitely want to say that DeRozan is surrounded by exactly what he needs to be surrounded by. Like he doesn't feel the pressure of needing to be the best player on the team.
I hope he won't. And it's gonna be awesome to see the Bulls back in the playoffs, bro.
It is. I think they go second. I think they go semi to conference finals. I could see that.
At this point, they'd probably be saying it's a total disappointment if they don't make it past the first round. But I think it's same with
they don't make it past the first round. I mean, everything everybody has talked about this year has gone out the window.
But still, though, I think it's been a great season. I think they're going to come run it back for next season regardless and hope they'll be more healthy, even if they got upset. So I've heard some people say they think the Hawks could beat them.
I don't like that.
Huh?
I just don't like – I don't think if they – I don't even want to think about that if they lose in the first round. I don't think that's possible. But maybe if they see somebody like the Hawks, I can see the Hawks.
Yeah, maybe. That's the only one I was thinking maybe.
Yeah, maybe the Hawks.
Let's talk about a team that has been a circus. The experiment is over. I've talked about them several times. It was a weird year. Kyrie Irving never got vaccinated.
Weirdest.
They weren't going to allow him to play part-time. I know Harden was annoyed by it. He made comments in the media joking about I'd inject him myself. You know what I'm saying? Him and Kevin Durant were playing great. I mean, at least Harden took a while. He did not look himself. He clearly has lost a step and is really showing signs of a decline since he came back off that surgery. Yeah. The hamstring. Yeah. But, he said before the season, healthy James Harden, scary hours. And he clearly, whether it was the rule changes in the beginning of the season, they've started to slowly regress back to giving him his calls, though, I've noticed. But whether it's the rule changes or him not being in shape or him not being 100% anymore or declining, a mixture of everything, he was disappointing. Kevin Durant was playing amazing basketball. He was in the MVP conversation in the beginning of the season. Yeah. And then he went down. He was playing a lot of minutes, and they warned him. They said, Kevin, are you sure you're not playing too many minutes? He said, I'll die on this court. I've been sitting out for a while. I tore my Achilles. I'm ready for this. Kyrie Irving didn't play a game. Kevin Durant gets injured. Now James Harden has to carry the load. Now they tell Kyrie Irving that he can come back. It was either right before he got injured, Kevin Durant, where Kyrie Irving was ready to come back. And I think Harden was like, man, after all that we've done, now you're just going to let him come back. And now you're drawing up the same amount of plays for him to get as many shots as me. And, there were rumors, a lot of reports about him not getting along with the schemes offensively that they were utilizing.
Yeah.
With you wanting the ball even more, which I just find it hard to believe. These had to have come after Kevin Durant got hurt because they were playing good basketball before that. They were defending. Claxton's had a much better year. Patty Mills has been great. They lost Joe Harris, but Kevin Durant and James Harden still being on the court was huge. And then now, for Harden in the month of January, when things started going south with Durant, he wanted out. He's been talking to people about it on the side, but he never asked for a trade until he basically quit against the Sacramento Kings and scored 5 points, wasn't trying on defense. And then there was, rumors of, is he out? Is he load managing? Or is he just requesting a trade? He clearly is out because he didn't play in the All-Star game, which he made. Yeah. But now we find out that he at the end requested a trade. Kevin Durant wanted it to finally happen because it was clearly affecting the locker room. Yeah. Clearly, whatever he wants to say about he doesn't dislike Kyrie Irving, this was a fiasco that could have been prevented, I think, with Kyrie having taken the vaccine, and Harden was not messing with it. But at the same time, it's like, are you not able to stick it out with Durant? Or he leaves the Rockets because he doesn't want to carry apparently anymore. But when he goes down, has the opportunity to carry, I'm sorry, you get reports that he wants a bigger role in the offense, and maybe those aren't true. Maybe they're not. But, the players go down, and now you can carry again, like in Houston, for a little bit, do what you need to do, and he bailed. And now we have Ben Simmons, who we'll see if he even plays. But Seth Curry's a big addition. If Ben Simmons plays, this team could be a championship contender this year, in my opinion. But they're going to need some time to gel. And it's all about if the mandate is lifted and if Kyrie can play. Give me your thoughts on everything that's gone on with this team, and then we're going to end with the Warriors and the Suns.
Just to be honest, first off, I think out of everybody in the league this year, Harden came into this year with the most pressure. Let's just get me personally, I could be wrong.
He's up there, man. He's up there.
But I definitely think the fact that he was playing with obviously we know he's ring chasing at this point. There's nothing wrong with it. In this day and age, we get it. We understand it's what it is. But with that comes pressure. You're ring chasing, you better go get a ring. And between him and Chris Paul and even Russ, between those three who are getting to their latter ages of their career, latter stages of their career. I'm sorry. I think that they've had the most pressure in the league at least to start this year off. And
not Chris Paul, I wouldn't say. Chris Paul, everybody.
Maybe a little less. He achieved a lot more than
the pressure for the Suns will come in the playoffs. Everyone is
for sure. I guess more so the pressure is deemed towards the Suns now than Chris Paul in general. But with that being said, I think that Harden just folds under pressure, man. And I've been trying to fight it. That I've always been a fan.
You literally fought me on. We've had so many arguments about Harden over the years.
We have. And I think that this is just my breaking point for Harden, man. I am not a fan of his any longer. I don't like, the fact that the pressure just gets to him. That's what it seems like. I don't like it. I don't appreciate it because regardless, if Kyrie plays or not, I still think that with James Harden or with Ben Simmons or, whatever, with neither, I think there's still a very good case to at least go deep in the playoffs, maybe not finals, but semifinals, conference finals, Kevin Durant and,
what's going to happen with that
around him? I just was very disappointed with the way that the Nets played out. I never wanted them to do anything great because, I'm not a fan of KD. I'm not a fan of Kyrie's too much. And so it's not that I'm even hating, but I just have other people that I want to see, succeed before I see them succeed. But I just am very disappointed. I know that they are. I know they're like the 6th or 7th seed right now, and that is definitely not what
they're actually the 8th seed right now.
Yeah, that's just terrible, man. That's just terrible.
Recently they haven't had Kevin.
Yeah, they haven't had Kevin, Kyrie, or James Harden in the past February. Since February,
they're 24 and 12.
At least at home because Kyrie. I know Kyrie has the weird pandemic thing. But I just feel like as a great player in this league, you have more expectations, and you're expected to stick it out. You're expected to take it to the chin, every once in a while, because you have to. As a great player, it's not always going to go your way. There's other great players in the league that have other great seasons, and it's not always going to be your year. And I think James Harden is just tired of not having his way his year. And I just am very disappointed with that. But other than that, I do like some people on the Nets. Just to talk about some positives, Cam Thomas. My God, every time I watch them, he especially now that KD is out. It's like you can't even tell he's a rookie, man. He gives me like Jordan Clarkson vibes. He's going 20. And it's not bad that he's going 20 points on 20 shots. I personally don't think so as a rookie, especially when you don't have James Harden anymore. You don't have Kyrie some days. You don't have KD. Cam Thomas has been phenomenal. He's been phenomenal. Patty Mills, the Australian.
Kevin Durant, by the way, I just wanted to say Kevin Durant. They were 24-12 when he plays, so like he was killing it, man.
What could you? Are you surprised? I'm not. No,
he was playing exceptionally well.
You still want to fight me on the fact that he's the best player in the league when healthy.
He may still be. I'm not going to stand on that hill because I think I think this is the most wide open it's been. Like last year was between KD and last year to me was between KD and Curry, and I think some may want to give it to Giannis after he won the championship. But the dialogue was a lot of KD and Curry. KD not in the regular season. Curry was the best player in the regular season to me.
Yeah.
But Giannis was up there too
last season, but yeah.
Yeah, this season.
No, I agree. I think with best player, and usually that goes hand in hand with MVP. I think it's as wide open as it ever has been, especially with all the injuries and with COVID being a thing. And then obviously with the Lakers situation, LeBron is slowly but surely losing his crown. I think it definitely, and then there's just some people that you just don't want to say are the best in the league, like Jokic. Nobody really wants to say that Jokic is the best in the league. Nobody wants to say that a big, slow, unathletic white man is the best person in the league, But
it's those four though. We're gonna find out this playoffs to me who performs the best. Doesn't necessarily mean who wins the championship, but who performs the best.
Who performs the best?
Yeah, KD, Jokic, Steph, and Giannis. Which brings us to, by the way, so the Nets. My final take on them is, it's the same as the Sixers in terms of we got to see what Ben Simmons and them look like on the court. They're going to need to get Kevin Durant back, though, ASAP, or else this is getting ugly. And then Kyrie Irving situation. If they don't get that figured out, they're not winning anything this year. But going into next year, it could be big. Now let's end with the two teams with the best record in the NBA. I'm going to start with the obvious one, who it's going to just be what can they do in the playoffs. Chris Paul, phenomenal again. Had an amazing streak of injury luck until now, just messed up his hand again. We've seen this so many times. As a Clipper fan, I've seen it. He used to mess up his hand all the time. He's going to be out for 6 to 8 weeks. I hope that's 6 weeks, because that would, if it's 8 weeks, that would be like either the first round of the playoffs is coming back or a week before. Devin Booker's had another great season. Somehow he still doesn't get talked about in these top 10 in the league conversations. People just, I don't know, maybe he has too many inefficient nights for people. DeAndre Ayton missed some games. Bismack Biyombo and various centers came in, and Chris Paul still made them look good. Mikal Bridges, Jay Crowder have been awesome again. They've just, again, another year of chemistry, continuity. They know each other. They're well coached, and they are the number 1 seed in the NBA. And they're still, it seems like people are not taking them that seriously to win the title. It seems like they are more recently, but now with Chris Paul out, it's going to be big. So give me your brief take on the Suns.
No, I think me and you are probably, out of the many people I know that talk, religiously about basketball, I think me and you are the highest sold on Devin Booker that I know of. And like you said, he's not getting the recognition that he probably deserves. With that, obviously I think it's more timing and personnel than just Chris Paul as to the reason they had such a successful year last year as opposed to the year before. Obviously, Chris Paul was, a huge part to that. But I just hate the dialogue that Chris Paul is the only reason, because, there's all these graphics that pop up. Yeah, there's all these graphics that pop up when he was on the Rockets, their predicted seed and then their actual percentage. And then the Thunder, obviously, he took them to the playoffs, which is phenomenal. I don't want to take that away from him at all. But I just think that Chris Paul is definitely one of those players who knows how to make people better around him. And, that's just all you need to keep it at. He's definitely made Booker better. He's made Ayton better. He's made Crowder better. He's definitely made Cam Johnson better. I like Cam Johnson a lot.
Cam Johnson's been great.
Yeah, I like Cam Johnson and Mikal Bridges a lot. I think those two very, very sound and solid pieces that they need to win, that need to play good for them to win defensively and offensively, more so defensively.
They have great role players, man. They have guys
Yeah,
that
they do.
shoot the ball and defend. Like that's what you need in this league right now, man.
Campaign is up there. JaVale McGee. They might have the best.
And that was the big move that the guy from Nothing But Suns told me in our preview of the Suns this season was they're gonna have a backup big against teams like Giannis. When Ayton can go out, they'll have some relief with some real rim protection.
Yeah,
and they're top 5 in the league. They're the only team we've talked about top 5 in the league in both offensive and defensive rating.
I can see. I mean, that's no surprise. If you know basketball, you know that's no surprise.
Not at all. And this year, the biggest critique I had of Chris Paul in the finals was he slowed the pace down from campaign. This year, it says they're 8th in pace. But we'll see pace in the playoffs. It's all a different game. But they have as great a chance to win as anybody. How do you think that Chris? Because I don't want to talk about their playoff hopes too much yet, because we'll do that before the playoffs. But in terms of closing the season as the 1 seed with Chris Paul out, do you think Devin Booker can keep the ship alive and keep them at that 1 seed?
Yeah, I think I saw this graphic on Twitter, or this whatever graphic, I guess, for lack of better terms. And since like January 2nd, they're like 17-2 or something like that. They won like 11 straight and then lost one, and then 7 straight and then lost one. And so I think just that momentum alone can carry them into the playoffs as the 1 seed, let alone the best team in league. And then just, the personnel around them, even when Chris Paul goes down, they're still a great team. They're still a top 5 team in the league with Chris Paul out. I mean, let's be real.
Are they? We haven't seen that this season, though, because Chris Paul hasn't missed a game.
As the way that every team is right now, with all of these great players being out 6 to 8 weeks, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, whatever the case may be, I think that if you put them up against any team right now in the playoffs, I don't know many that can beat them. I genuinely don't. Maybe the Bucks, because they're healthy. The 76ers, I'll give them that. I think the Bulls could give them a run for the money, and the Warriors. I think that those are really the only teams that I can confidently say.
You think the Grizzlies could beat a Chris Paul-less?
I don't think so. I don't think not yet. I think because honestly, I don't know any team that has. Well, I mean, I guess besides the Suns and the Hawks of last year, that have done such a significantly great job in the playoffs their first time. With everybody having their first real playoff run.
Yeah, facts. That's true.
I don't remember the last time I've seen that. I mean, I don't. Kawhi carried the 2019 Raptors. LeBron obviously carried.
Those guys had some experience. Lowry.
Yeah, even they had some experience. And so Kyle Lowry being the vet that he has, it's just I don't see it. I think that experience is the most important thing come playoff time. Everybody has their differences. Some people might not think so, but I think experience is the number one thing you need when it comes to playoff time. And I just don't think the Grizzlies have that yet. I mean, it only takes one playoff series, because I'm highly sold on the Suns, and really the only person who had playoff experience on that team is Chris Paul. You could say Jay Crowder. I think he went to the finals the year before. Chris Paul, and then JaVale McGee. This is really the only people who have. Well, obviously the whole Suns team does now, but beforehand, and JaVale wasn't on the team last year, so yeah,
yes,
I think they roll into the late season with the number 1 seed. Number 1 or 2. I mean, obviously with the guys we're talking about next, those are the only guys I see giving them a run for their money, to be honest.
And let's finish it off. The Golden State Warriors, one of the biggest surprises of the season for sure. I know a lot of Warriors fans had them finishing high. They didn't even make the playoffs last year. They were finished 8th, and then they lost 2 play-in games. The biggest question before the season that we had on the preview was, when is Klay Thompson coming back? But what we didn't realize was that they were going to be considered a championship contender even before Klay Thompson came back. Yeah. They had a friendly start to the season in terms of a schedule, and they took very big advantage of it in the month of November. They started the season 18-2, and then they started playing better teams. I remember there was big talk around the turn of November to December. Can they beat great teams? They played the Suns. They split, one at home, lost on the road.
Mm-hmm.
And then as they started playing better teams, they did lose some games, but they have taken that momentum and ridden it the whole season. 42-17. Steph Curry was going ballistic in the beginning of the season and was the MVP favorite. But then when he broke the record, Ray Allen's record, he had a 2-month slump. In which they still managed to win games.
Yeah, I was just about to say that when I watched him. It doesn't. I mean, you can tell he's in a slump, but I mean, they're still winning games, and they're still winning games like good games, significantly good games.
Yeah, and they're winning with the defensive end. Everybody looks at the Warriors and talks about the offense. Jordan Poole, who we talked about in the preview, has come a very long way. He has improved a lot. He's averaging 16 points a night. And then Andrew Wiggins, who's not only guards the best player, but he's averaging his own 18 points a night on 48% shooting and 41 from three.
I love Wiggins.
First All-Star appearance as a starter, as the Warriors fans around the world and rallied together and got Andrew Wiggins in the All-Star game. I think he deserved it. Draymond Green, though, to me, before he got hurt, and their record was 28-6 with Draymond. I think that Draymond was playing Defensive Player of the Year level, but we already know about that. I think what really made a difference this year was Draymond Green last year had moments where they were playing 4-on-5 when Curry had the ball in his hands. Yeah. Draymond Green good with the ball in his hands. But this year, it looks like he's actually attacking space. You wouldn't be able to tell by the PPGs averaging around the same 8 points a game, but he went from shooting 54% this season, which is surprising. Last year, he shot 45, so almost a 10% increase. And then you've had guys like Otto Porter Jr. and Nemanja Bjelica who have come in to try to spread the floor. Bjelica, I know, started out the season better and has tapered off a bit. But Otto Porter Jr. has been amazing. I mean, that Christmas game against the Suns, he was fantastic.
Kuminga too.
It's been infectious, man. It's been infectious. It's been little additions, and then guys like Jonathan Kuminga who have come in recently and gone nuts. And I like the last couple of months. I don't want to say recently, like it's been the last 2 weeks. Maybe couple of months,
Christmas.
He can defend. He has length. Despite Steph Curry's slump and Draymond's injury, they still find themselves playing great. And now Klay Thompson's back. He's averaging 17 points a game. He's shooting the ball not as great as you'd expect, not as great as he once was, but he's slowly getting better. He's shooting 37% from deep. And the Warriors are also, I don't want to forget about Iguodala coming back and Gary Payton II, who has been a revelation on defense. They are I think they're the number one defensive team in the league. Yes, they are by defensive rating, fourth in opposing points, but the Warriors always play above average pace. So that their opposing points will be a little higher, but Warriors, man, right now I'd say they're my favorites come out of the West, especially now with this Chris Paul injury. I got them coming out of the West right now. I'm gonna go with that. It's all gonna be in terms of championship to me, though. It's all gonna be about Wardale. Yeah,
no, for sure. And Steve Kerr, to be honest with you, how he implements Klay Thompson back into the offense come playoff time.
I think one thing is tricky is Klay and Wiggins. I've heard they're trying to get along. And Wiggins is kind of taken off.
Poole is coming up he's on the come up too. Offensively. And Poole is the kind of guy, he can definitely work off the ball, but he's a little more agile and herky-jerky. He needs the ball a little bit. Yeah, he needs the ball a little bit to get a little hot. He needs to see a shot go in.
Yeah, rhythm
before
player.
He starts hooping like that. As opposed to somebody like Wiggins, who I'm not gonna say he could score 0 points, but and have a good game. But I mean, like you said, he's guarding the other best, especially with Draymond going down and Iguodala. Between him and Kuminga, who actually has been playing a lot of the 5 more so that I've been watching. I didn't even know that until I started watching recently. Between those two, they're guarding the 2 best players on the other best team. And obviously with Klay being back, he's going to add to that factor even more. And I mean, you said it. I mean, like you said, all we've been talking about here is defense when it comes to the Warriors. And that's not what most people would want to talk about, because you have Stephen Curry, you got All-Star Wiggins, you got Klay Thompson, you got all these people who, Jordan Poole, who are exciting to watch, who are good to score. But at the end of the day, I mean, everybody on that team, everybody on that team, I can't think of one. Even Bjelica, he's a good defender. He's long. He goes hands up. He lets people hit him in his chest. He's got a little weight on him. He's obviously can't guard the wing like the rest of his team. But I mean, everybody that I've watched on that team can guard. I mean,
and they all that's the thing. They're well coached. They know they're sharp on all the rotation. They know who they're switching on. They know who they're not. They communicate. It's just, you can clearly tell they've put a lot of out. They seem like a team that has practiced and they move without the ball really well. That's the thing to me is they play different than any team in the league. The Suns, they get their ball movement off Chris Paul pick and roll, swing and put the defense in rotation. But the Warriors get the ball because Curry is the focal point of their offense, but he doesn't even have the ball. He moves without it, and then it's infectious. Everybody moves without it. And one thing I want to say too is when everyone's touching the ball like that and people are moving without the ball and you're always, looking over your shoulder, I think that that's part of the reason why Curry can go cold and they still win, because they're making teams work hard on defense.
Yeah.
Everyone's touching the rock. And I think Curry, as opposed to a guy like, I think Braun is a better defender than Curry. But one thing Curry consistently puts in is he'll really put in the effort for his size.
Yeah.
And he's gotten stronger and I think better at defense. Whereas, and I think that's a great tone for his team.
He knows he has
Braun,
to.
he's a more naturally good defender, but he can be a little lazy sometimes. And that sets a tone for his team. I think even though Curry has fallen out of the MVP race with this slump, probably, he's still, to me, having such an incredible season in terms of what he's been able to do with this team. And I think that he's having an MVP caliber season still. And I think he's still in that best player in the world conversation to me, even though he doesn't generate the easy looks of a Jokic and a Giannis. When he gets going, it's really all going to come down to me.
It's hard to say.
A lot of it's going to come down to the stars, man, at the highest levels, which star is going to outperform the others. Because I really think that the supporting casts are pretty good all the way around. I mean, obviously not Jokic, but like when it comes to Giannis's Bucks, the Suns, and then the Warriors, then they got their supporting casts.
Yeah. I mean, I just want to piggyback off the point you made. You've always been. I mean, you harp on it more than anybody. I probably know that leaders always need to lead. They always need to. Whether it's with body language or
because of Kobe, man. We were really watching that.
Yeah, you've always been big on that. You've definitely always been big on that. And I can definitely say that even when Curry is down, he keeps his head up. He definitely he never lets people see him down. He never gets mad at his teammates. He never vocalizes any kind of frustration he has against anybody. He just keeps his head up and keeps it pushing. He shoots 0 for 10. He'll go back, shoot 0 for 8. He'll go back, shoot 0 for 7. Then, one game he'll come back and shoot 9 for 11.
Was it last year where we saw angry Curry where he was screaming at his teammates towards the end of the season?
Yeah, probably. And I mean,
that was very rare. I remember that.
Last year he had the weight of the shoulders, the weight, everything.
Weight of the world, yeah.
And so, I agree.
Well, if you had to make, I know it's a long ways away, but if you had to make one pick to come out of each conference right now, who'd the finals be? I'm going Warriors and Bucks. It's so unpredictable because you don't know who's going to be healthy.
That's so tough, man.
I know. It's much easier right before the playoffs.
Honestly, it's so hard not to say the Bucks, man.
I know. I feel like they're the most put together, man. I have too many question marks about the other teams.
It's so hard not to say the Bucks.
The Heat are the
right.
best matchup.
You might be right. I mean, honestly, I want to say the 76ers or the Nets, but I just
too many question marks.
There's so many question marks. Yeah, I guess I'll just go. I'll piggyback on you. I want to say the Warriors. Honestly, I want to say the Suns too, but I don't see the Suns being the Warriors fully healthy. There's just the Warriors they're just too long. They're just too deep. But I mean, the Suns are deep too. But I think that the Warriors' deepness is a little better.
And they have the best
third option. The third option for the Warriors right now, I think Ayton is a little bit better. I guess Ayton or Chris Paul, whoever you want to call as the third option, is a little better than Wiggins right now. I think that somebody like I don't know. I guess the Suns do match up a little bit better than I thought because Jay Crowder, Cam, and Kuminga and
they're gonna stick Bridges on Curry like we saw in the regular season, man.
Well, that's true.
They're gonna stick Bridges on Curry and make him run around.
Yeah,
Bridges, Draymond, and Wiggins should all be defensive team guys. And I think you can make an argument for Peyton, but also I don't think he's played enough minutes to be an all defensive guy. That's the problem with Peyton. He's only averaging 16 minutes a game. They won't give it to him, but he could be a future defensive guy, all defensive guy. But anyway, man, hey, this was a really great preview. We went really in depth. If you're still sticking around with us and you watched the whole damn thing, man, shout out to you, man. You leave some comments and let us know what you thought.
Yeah, no, for sure. You got some loyal fans though, Dime, so I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, we're gonna have timestamps. So if you check this out and you came from a timestamp for the Warriors, I hope you liked our analysis. You got to remember too, Clippers and Lakers are my teams that I watch every night. So some of the stuff, I hope I didn't sound overly confident when I said some of my takes because I do not watch all these teams all the time. And that's when I do in the playoffs. And, my boy, he does tune into a lot of games, but like he doesn't watch every single night of one team the whole game. So, sometimes I get on him. Sometimes he'll come in and be like, this guy's playing like trash. I'm like, dude, have you watched the first 3 quarters? They're like, I just turned it on. Like he's making everything now.
Yeah,
he's
I'm one of those.
Now.
I'm definitely one of those.
But hey, the beauty of it is though, when the playoffs come, we all get to watch all the games together, and we'll see
sure.
how all these age. So we'll be able to come back to this, man.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us, guys.
Yeah,
Any last words?
for sure.
Any last words?
Oh no, man. No, I just want to say thanks, man. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it. I love the Dime Dropper fam. You know, they love you, obviously. You know, your fan base is amazing. Definitely the most loyal fan base out of any podcast, or you know, just a historian, you know, of the game that I know. And so I definitely want to just shout out you. You know, shout out your history, shout out your knowledge. And I want to just say, you know, let's just continue to watch this great season of NBA.
Yes, sir. All right, guys. Peace out, and make sure to subscribe and comment.